All right. That should be, there we go. Okay, should be working now, and you shouldn't hear an echo. All right. Well, that's just part of the joy of having a bazillion different devices connected to my PC. It didn't like, it didn't want to connect to my earbud, so headphones it is. And I did not charge them, so we'll see how long that lasts. Um, so with my earbuds, I can't find the left one. I was in the dining room a couple of nights ago and I forgot that I had them on and I took my hoodie off and these flew off my head. I found the right one, but I don't know where the left one is. So, all right. Who do we have in his house? No, it's not in the hoodie. I put the hoodie back on to check and it's not in the hoodie. Hello, Fiona's mom. Hello, Tree Boy. Hello, Maggie. Hello, Lizzie. Hello, Ruby Rose. You have a Christmas parade outside your window. It's not even December. We're already having Christmas parades? Hmm. All right. Well, I've had a productive week, and this will probably be the last day that I really have time to stream for a while. We'll see how tomorrow goes. But oh, I found a Lego piece. Um, I need to do a little bit more bagging and boarding and put away a few more comics. So I thought we might stream while I'm doing that. And yeah, that's that. I made a little bit of food for meal prep. I did a lot of stuff downstairs. I put together my battery powered snow shovel just in case I need to clean off my driveway. It snowed. It snowed a lot. That picture in my thumbnail is my deck. We probably got about 6 inches of snow. But it is supposed to rain this afternoon. So I'm hoping it rains and the rain will melt the snow off of my driveway. And then I won't have to get out there and do it. But it'll be a good test for this new battery powered snow shovel that I bought. We'll see. Anyway, um, what y'all want to watch? I have no plan. I thought I'd pull an Amber Lynn and come in with no plan. Oh, we could do an oracle reading. I do have my oracle cards. Um, so I have a couple of options here. So we have Cat's Chat that we watched a few videos from about uh Snowflake and the whole situation with Rachel. So I listened to part of this one earlier. I only heard part of it because I was busy downstairs and it was playing on the television. Um, so we have Cat's Chat reacting to Hecticana's apology and then Studio Deets' apology. So I thought we could watch these if you want to, or we can watch something from Rosie. So I just spotted this one. She's making egg roll in a bowl. She made this a few weeks ago and made it sound like she'd never made it before. Maybe I just inferred that. Um, or we can find something back here from Rosie to watch. Um, so let's see. Do we want, so you know what? I can do a poll for all 5 of you. No, I'm not going to mess with a poll. Give me a 1 if you want to watch these videos on Cat's Chat. Give me a 2 if you want to watch some QLR. I'll wait. You know what else I haven't done yet this week? I haven't set up my stream deck. Maybe I can do that with you all today too, because I haven't done that yet. I need I need people to come kick my ass and hold me accountable for shit. Nobody's telling me what you want to watch. If you don't tell me what you want to watch, we're just going to watch whatever I pick. All 5 of you that are watching. Maybe you aren't near near your keyboard. Either is fine, but you'll say okay, we got QLR from Ruby Rose. We have QLR. Lizzie wants to watch you versus Ilya and Pokemon Scarlet. Well, you'll have to do that on Ilya's channel. I can't host that. And Ilya is busy doing some work. I'll have to have Ilya pop in one of these days and we can do an Ilya co-host situation type deal. All right, we've got QLR. You want a rant video? I don't rant, Lizzie. That would be fun. All right, we're gonna watch some QLR. So I've watched some of these. Well, I've listened to them while I'm working. We watched this last night. Mm, let's watch. Let's listen to this one again. So I've listened to this one before, but it isn't very long. It's too long, didn't read. I'm going to the hospital and I'm planning to be offline. So this is perfect. Possibly Lizzie. This is
Hey, welcome.
shh, not yet. This is perfect after we just watched last night her medical kidnapping story. So this is perfect because she's checking herself into a mental health facility. So this is perfect. And this is 2 years ago. This was uploaded on August 11th, 2023. I love the AI summary. What's the AI summary? The creator is going, oh, excuse me. The creator is going back to the hospital for inpatient treatment due to medication resistance. They are nervous but prepared, having learned from a previous traumatic experience. They are excited to have the opportunity to heal in a structured environment and are grateful for the chance to prioritize their mental health. This is after the medical kidnapping. The medical kidnapping happened in January of 2020. This is August of 2023. Mm.
Hey, welcome to me. This is a different kind of video. I don't even know if I'll be editing it or not because it's the morning of August 11th. And I'm going to cut to the chase. The short of it is
The fan sounds like a frickin' weed eater or something in the background. But you can see that dream catcher back there just blowing in the breeze.
yesterday it was determined that it's in my best interest that I go back to the hospital. So I'm going to be gone I don't know for how long. I have a gut feeling that it might be longer than the last time. I just want to talk about it because I've had 24 hours to process this. I did talk about this several hours ago now on Instagram stories, and I made a post on for my Facebook friends. But I've just kind of been sitting with this and getting myself to a space to feel better about it, and kind of taking the situation by the the horns and in a whole.
She'll almost say by the balls. Grab it by the balls. Now, I don't know why she's going in to a mental health facility. I'm not sure what her issue is this time. Um, but she tends to go in whenever work starts to get a little hard. And then she takes like family medical leave and leaves work for a few months and gets paid for it. She waits till her insurance kicks in.
Whole new light because I talked about how I went to the hospital last time, and this is a whole other scenario because for me that treatment launched me into getting into the therapy. I've been doing full-time intensive outpatient. I've been doing bi-weekly psych appointments. I hired a nutritionist recently. I've been doing a lot of different things in terms of my care, working with my my PCP, excuse me. So basically, as I've talked in some of my vlogs and stuff, I think I'm doing better right now because I'm not trialing a med at the moment. I'm still really struggling with my depression and things like that, but some of these meds were getting me to the point of very extreme mental health symptoms, if you can kind of catch the drift there. And we ain't having that. I'm here to heal. I'm here to get this figured the fuck out. And my psych told me yesterday that it was one of the worst messages I've ever gotten from a doctor in my life. And I mean, hey, thankfully there are worse messages that I have yet to receive. But in terms of my mental health care, my doctor told me that he's basically at a loss of what to do because I've had so many severe negative reactions to so many different medication classes that he feels the next best steps are for me to go somewhere where they can be monitored on a daily basis and see what happens, because the truth of this reality means that I've finally gotten through enough therapy, enough of my mental health work, and had the privilege to be on this medical leave long enough to do this, to get to the point where I could leave this scenario,
hey, bossy,
being essentially labeled as treatment resistant or medication resistant.
Why does she seem happy about that?
And that
She almost seems happy about this. Maybe because it makes her unique and different. So I don't know what she means by she's had so many adverse reactions to all of these different medications that her doctor's like, I don't know what the fuck to do with you. Um, Now, I don't know if those are like self-reported adverse effects, like, oh, I'm starting to have dark thoughts, or if it's like physical, like she's feeling sick. So I don't know what these adverse effects are, but she almost seems happy about this. But notice she did say that she's been on medical leave from work. So she's being paid a percentage of her monthly salary to spend time in medical care. Um, she does this a lot. She does this a lot.
that's a scary place to be. But there are people like that exist, and I have been fearful that that's me. And that's one of the reasons why I've struggled with, medications and the like. I'm really nervous. Sorry, y'all. I think there's just a real chance that, I could maybe get lucky and figure things out. Because the one med I'm on helps in some aspects. I am not as symptomatic as I was back in April. But I am concerned, man. And I already know how much medical debt I've accrued, but you know, my quality of life matters, and I'm at least in a place where
If your quality of life mattered, you would work on not losing your mobility, which is where you're currently headed right now. It's completely losing your mobility because you refuse to work on yourself physically.
I have good insurance. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of just wanted to let you guys know this and like be able to see me and know I'm okay, and like I don't want people to worry. Like I didn't want to just like fuck off the internet and people be like, "Oh my God, where's Rosie? What's going on with Rosie?" You know, especially some of the people who followed me for a long time who witnessed what I went through back in April. Um, you know, I don't want to scare them. That would be the last thing I want to do. So, um, you know, this time I know more of what to expect. In fact, I can't bring any of this. When I went last time, I had my headphones, I had my sunglasses, my necklaces, all the. I don't think I own the Fitbit yet, but so I hate not wearing my jewelry.
Yeah. Oh, I need to show how autistic I am by anytime I go into any of these places, I have to have the headphones and the sunglasses on just because everything is just so overstimulating for me. Yet I'm perfectly fine in Vegas and I'm perfectly fine at a friend's Thanksgiving get together where I don't really know anybody. I love how she picks and chooses when her tism kicks in.
But it's time to take it off. So
I bet those bracelets just smell awful because she wears them in the pool. She probably wears them in the shower. I bet the I bet the elastic bands inside of them are probably all moldy and mildewy and gross.
yeah, I don't know, man. This is a different scenario for me. Um, I never saw reality a year ago that I would willingly be going to an inpatient setting like this. Um, I don't really think I've talked about this a whole lot on my channel, so I guess since I'm here, I'm just gonna kind of chat because I'm nervous and I'm gonna miss you guys, and I am a little scared. Not as scared as last time.
Upcoming topic trigger warning: minor conversations surrounding medical trauma and malpractice, non graphic. So she's probably going to talk about the quote medical kidnapping that we just watched last night. So it'll be nice and fresh in your head.
I was petrified last time because in 2020,
Yep.
um, I was I was medically kidnapped, and I won't trauma jump into a ton of the
No, you
specifics.
weren't.
But basically, I was given medication that made me incoherent, given paperwork, and told if I didn't sign it, the state wouldn't pay for my care. And I was not lucid enough to understand I was signing an involuntary hold piece of paperwork. And then I was held for a total of 5.5 days because of how they shuffled things around. And I experienced some of the most heinous medical malpractice of my life at Anchor Mental Hospital in College Park, Georgia.
Is the medical malpractice being given grits that you didn't like? Was the medical malpractice not having the cooks give you whatever food you wanted? Was the medical malpractice not giving you enough pillows? Words have meaning, Rosie. You were not medically kidnapped. You called for an ambulance, or you called 911 because you were feeling like you wanted to harm yourself. You called them because you were having these horrible thoughts. You went into the ER, they gave you medication to calm you down. Since you were a harm to yourself, they performed an involuntary hold. A thir- a 1013 in Georgia. They had to find a place that could take you, so you were kept in the ER there for 2.5 days because I needed to find a place that could take your insurance. I know they only got one snack, and it was only at snack time. They only got snacks at snack time. How dare they? And now, granted, I will again say that Anchor does not have very good reviews. They don't. They don't have very good reviews on Google reviews or on Yelp or anything. Um, but they do have some good ones. And I think it all just depends what staff you end up working with, to be honest. But Rosie became the hero for many people there, and she got this girl an extra bowl of cereal because the cooks wouldn't give them the food they asked for. Um, when she checked in, they took a picture of her, which in her mind was meant to shame her, when it's really just policy for intake to take pictures of people at that facility. Could be in Georgia statewide. It seems to be a state thing. So, but let's continue what she says here. So anyway, she called she wasn't forced into the hospital. It wasn't like she was threatening harm and somebody called the police to go check on her and the police took her in. She called 911 herself saying that she needed help. And then they um, had her sign this form, and the doctor apparently said, "This is so the state will cover your care." But it was also an involuntary hold form because the doctor had assessed and been like, "Yeah, she's a harm to herself." That isn't medical kidnapping, you numbnut. It's you called and said, "Hey, I need help." The doctor's like, "Yeah, she is a danger to herself. We're going to keep her." And you signed the paperwork for that. That's all it is. You weren't fucking kidnapped, dumbass. Also, all the vague stories of her being mistreated while leaving out the part of the story where they had to call security. Yeah, there was this huge security guard, and somebody's like, "Oh, he's coming for you." Why would they send a massive security guard to you? They don't just do that.
Georgia. Life at Anchor Mental Hospital in College Park, Georgia. If you read the reviews, that that place is deplorable. And I was sent there because I did not have insurance. I witnessed them abuse elders there. I witnessed a lot of horrific things in those walls. It was...
He's so dramatic.
I won't trauma dump right now, but...
She almost looks like she's trying to not smile. Maybe that's just me reading into her facial expressions. People make weird facial expressions all the time for whatever reasons. So I'm gonna try to not read into that too much. But it's almost like a hint of a smile there.
It happened now, but...
Could just be the way she
happened...
was holding her mouth.
It started 3 days after January 1st. If you watched my most recent video, that's what I said. I don't remember a ton about that time. What I remember most was the hospital stay. So, that's why when I've talked about the fact I even went to the hospital at all in April being such a big deal, I never saw myself making a decision like this. So I'm really proud of myself because this is what's best for me and my care. And I'm worried that I'm saying all this and I'm going to do all of this and there ends up not being a bed available for me or something. I have an action plan. I went ahead and I grabbed one of my little journals and I wrote out some phone numbers and I kind of know what to expect now. So I've like packed a bag with the clothes, you know, no strings. You know, I remember some of the rules, and I'm gonna have my mom stop off somewhere so I can buy a big box of washable markers so I can have my own markers um, while I'm there.
She treats these stays at the mental facilities like little vacations. Oh, I'm going to get my own markers to take with me because they don't have the right colors that I like. They're always missing the blue one, and I need the blue marker for when I want to color the sky in my masterpieces.
Because I'm gonna write a lot while I'm there, I think, and I'm gonna take this time um, to see if we can really hone this in or not. Because then this is gonna kind of this is gonna kind of determine the trajectory that my treatment goes from here.
Trajectory.
Y'all have been seeing me struggle. You know, I've been trying to not put so much of my bullshit on the internet, and I think for the most part I've been doing pretty good about
No, you
that.
haven't.
But I've still been really depressed and just battling my MDD and just losing, it feels like. And
All her advocating she talked about. Girl, you were in there for 7. Yeah, yeah. She was in there for three days. A very important point that I don't think I made clear enough is that I am going to the hospital now because I can tell if I don't, I will only eventually spiral out again, and because the intensive outpatient measures over the past 3 months are not working. I don't know. It feels like everything she does is so performative. It's all just done for show and just to be like, look at me. Here's what I'm doing. Look at me.
you know, feels like I'm losing. And but you know, I do have friends that let me know. You know, I always do get back up. So I guess that's
Yeah,
not
very
losing,
main
right?
character energy.
None of this is fair to me. None
Thinking
of
she is.
this is fun.
Could have fooled me.
But I'm really hoping that this decision and this process of trusting my doctors is going to lead into me being where I need to be to build the life that I deserve to have. So, yeah.
What life is that, Rosie? Are you there now? It's been 2 years. Where are you now in having the life that you want to have? You just finished the last live stream where Rosie is screaming at the Uber driver. Yeah, I think the Uber driver was wrong, but she should have diffused. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he shouldn't have said that, but she flew off the handle. And even before that, when she's like, I was calm, I didn't raise my voice. Girl, we clearly see that you are raising your voice.
I feel weird not wearing my things. Like, look.
Yeah, it leaves an indentation.
It's hard to relinquish control. Um, oh, one of my high school friends just texted me. Oh, that was so sweet. Um, sorry. Um,
I was thinking about when she posted. Yeah.
this has been an immensely.
Well, Rosie has a habit of doing that. Rosie thinks that she's always in the right. She has a habit of posting these videos thinking that she's gonna show them, that she's gonna show how right she is. Like the whole situation with the coworkers. She felt that she was in the right, charging them $15 one way for rides. And she felt that she was in the right, leaving that older woman in the parking lot at night. She thinks she is, well, right. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. She thinks that she's the one that has the upper hand.
Difficult process. And
Hey, her hair looks clean.
I don't know if I've said this or not, but I just want to make this clear. I am not making this for pity or sympathies. I want to vlog my life, and this is my life. I am fighting for my mental health.
No, you're not.
And I have definitely, even in recent history, made decisions that are coming from places that I wish I hadn't been in, you know, getting sucked into communities that don't really serve the purpose of like what my goals are in my content or in my life, or you know, being too trusting of people, things like that. And just also, you know, not doing my due diligence and all the like. So I'm gonna moisturize. I got this new shampoo that I've been using from JVN, and my hair has never felt better. I might actually pay full price for this shampoo and conditioner. I finally found something that doesn't make my hair look awful all the time. I'll see how it starts working, you know, after 24 hours.
Well, your hair's greasy nowadays.
I've been really struggling with my hair. Yeah, let's change the topic to something lighter, right, guys?
We know.
But I just wanted to make something to upload, because I don't want to make people worry, you know? And, I think so many people in this world deserve the opportunity for what I'm going to go do, and they don't get it. I'm not going to squander this chance that I have while I'm on this leave, just to keep doing the same shit over and over again and not getting the results that I need. I have been doing this shit for 3 months. It is August 10th. My leave started April 27th. That's crazy.
So she's been on medical leave from work for, let's see, March, April, May, June, July, August. 7 months. And typically, whenever you're on medical leave, you do still get paid. You get paid like a percentage.
And I'm slightly less depressed, but not really. Not by any impressive margin. And that's kind of crazy to me, man. I won't lie. And these meds end up making me, like, even more symptomatic, to the point of, like feeling like there's no point, you know? And my emotional mind can think that all day long, but my rational mind knows why the fuck I'm here and what my purpose is and what my goals are, and I can keep talking about them in abstracts, but I'm not going to be able to achieve them if I'm drowning in the chemical misfirings of my brain.
Oh my god, that is how she says the word. It wasn't just a mistake the last time we heard the drowning. It's just drowning. There's no second D. It's not drowning.
In the unchecked trauma responses and things like that. So I appreciate you guys a lot, and I don't know how long I'm going to be gone for.
I think I kept her on normal speed. How dare I?
Honestly, my plan is to stay there until they either kick me out or they fix this. I really hope this can get fixed, because sometimes, especially with like neurodivergent people, there are just people that are far more sensitive to these medications and end up just really having issues getting any kind of medication that actually helps them. You know, a lot of people can end up, you know, having certain ones that help more, are able to help, right? But there are people that just don't respond. And if that's
And she wants to be one of those people because it means that she's unique.
me, that's a harsh reality. So, I don't know what's gonna happen. But if anything crazy happens, you guys should just like send me messages and let me know while I'm gone.
She
Like,
put moisturizer on her lips.
I'm gonna want to come back and get it all. Know what the his app is. Whenever I can get back, we can have a little live party. I was so happy when I got out of the hospital because I felt so good for where I was at when I went in. I knew I had a long way to go.
It was crazy.
I knew it was just the beginning. And that wasn't the damn truth. Shit. I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of rambling and talking to you guys, so I'm gonna go edit this. I have to wait a little bit for my mom to wake up, but so I'll just kind of splice out some of my rambles. But I think what I really want to drive home here is like, I'm so excited that I get to do this from a place of like,
I'm excited
and planning and preparing and having an action plan for the purpose of healing, instead of it being just like, you know, pure crisis, unorganized chaos, you know, being so non-lucid that I struggle to even advocate for myself in my own care. Because giving up your phone, doing this shit, you know, being restricted to the time schedules and all the rules and, you know, the dietary restrictions and things like that happen at these places, it's hard. It's hard. I'm not particularly excited, but I am thankful for the opportunity. So, and I'm thankful for allowing myself to do this and not trying to just rationalize my way out of it.
She just has to be so quirky and different. Let's see, her next video after that was the Uber disaster one. Okay, so this was August 11th, so we just watched this one last night. What was the date on this one? September. So she was in there for a few weeks, maybe a couple of weeks. Um, I want to say there's a video that was uploaded between these that I've seen that's been taken down. She was in there for a week. I want to say that, yeah, there was a video in between those. Okay. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Um, my episode of We're All Insane podcast. Why does your hair still look so greasy? I've unsubscribed from Haze, fat activism, and the fat acceptance movement. This one was uploaded October 1st, 2023.
Hey, if you've known me for a long time on the internet, I think you know that I've spent many years in the body positivity spaces, and I think at some point I definitely considered myself a fat activist. And obviously, I've come online and shared my stories regarding feederism and the like. And so I've spent a lot of time this week, like a lot of my time, watching a lot of commentary videos and different creators, a lot of whom are like fat people who were once like super fat who've lost weight, or people that were once in fat spaces that have left. And I have been consuming a lot of
And
media
fat
and really
spaces
reflecting
just
on my
sounds
beliefs.
weird.
And I want to share some thoughts. I no longer subscribe to believing in haze. I believe that it's really important to love yourself where you are, for who you are. Regardless of your weight, regardless of your body, regardless of what you look like, you deserve to love yourself.
So I don't like how a lot of these movements have been co-opted and no longer have the original purpose. Like body positivity was for people with like disabilities and like missing limbs and that sort of thing. Health at every size was supposed to be for advocating for health care, no matter what your size is, instead of just being like, oh, it's because you're fat. Actually looking into the problem and having adequate and decent health care for people that are of size. And they got co-opted by people like J-Bay and um what was it, the fat positive sex coach, the fat, I don't remember, but a lot of those people that Michelle McDaniel has covered. um I don't like it.
You deserve to love yourself to the point of treating yourself well. You deserve to love yourself enough to address your pain.
You need to listen to Callie. I deserve. Callie will get you on the path of knowing what you deserve.
Healthy as one can be in their body. And I'm not talking about genetic issues. I'm not talking about anything else other than just trying to live a healthier, balanced life. It's really hard to look back and reflect on your life and realize where you've gone wrong. It's hard to sometimes to notice when you've repeated patterns. And lately, I have been feeling this very weird dichotomy shift in my life that I can only attribute to having gone through when I left Mormonism and leaving not only feeders and spaces online, but fat acceptance spaces. Because fat acceptance is problematic.
Yeah.
And realizing that has been really hard for me.
I'm gonna cry about it. I'm gonna cry. Everything I've ever known.
And I know there are a lot of people that think I'm some attention-seeking liar because of
Well, I mean, if the shoe fits.
How I left feederism. And people are entitled to their opinions, but this is very real for me. And this isn't me saying fat people suck or that I hate my body now or any shit like that, because that's not the truth. I think that I am beautiful. I believe fat is beautiful.
You think she's an 8?
But I believe that fat acceptance creates like this vacuum hole of self-justifications that for me, I will speak for myself, created almost delusions of my reality. And these are really hard and painful things for me to admit. So before I talk about this anywhere else, I want to talk about this on my stories. Because I'm not talking about body neutrality. I'm not talking...
Why is she tagging Obese to Beast, Hey Look It's Megan, and Sam at Every Size? I know Obese to Beast did that video on her. Did Sam at Every Size do a video on her?
About self-love movements. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking specifically about fat activism. And I just want to say there are certain creators that I've been watching that I'm going to tag in this slide. Because I feel like each of these creators handles these topics with dignity and respect and kindness and compassion. And depending on, where I had been a few years ago, if I watched them, I don't know if I would have been as receptive as I have been as in recent years. And I know this is going to piss off a lot of people. And I'm probably going, and I have been getting a lot of unfollows for a while now. If you know anything about me, I don't give two shits about that. Because I only want the people who get me to stick around anyway. So that's not really even important to me. But what's important to me is realizing just how much youth plays a factor, you know. I think even recently I've talked about how, like, my doctor says my blood work is basically, like, her exact words were, besides obviously my A1C, my blood work was immaculate. And, like, yeah, great, good for me. Thankfully I'm not more unhealthy than I already am.
Oh God, I saw a thumbnail here of Sam's, and I thought it was Rosie, but it's J-Bay. I'm just looking here to see if Sam's done any videos on QLR.
But that's only for now. And that's why in my day-to-day life, I've made a lot of lifestyle changes. I do not live like I once did, and I never will again.
Wait, what was that? What was that?
Only for now. You know, I think even recently I've talked about how, like, my doctor says my blood work is basically, like, her exact words were, besides obviously my A1C, my blood work was immaculate. And, like, yeah, great, good for me. Thankfully I'm not more unhealthy than I already am.
Oh, my neck
But that's
just...
only for now.
Oh, my neck just popped.
And that's why in my day-to-day life, I've made a lot of lifestyle changes. I do not live like I once did, and I never will again. Now, am I in some big pursuit of some weight loss journey right now? The answer to that is no. I am in a lifestyle trajectory movement. My focus is on my habits.
How's that worked out for you?
And my behaviors. And weight loss is going to come with it, and I know that. And I'm not only am I, like, okay with that, I am, like, getting myself ready to work towards intentional weight loss. And I'm struggling to even talk about that right now because of my experiences in fat activism. Intentional weight loss has been so demonized by me and my peers and the people around me for so long that I struggle to talk about my desire to pursue weight loss in any capacity because I feel like a hypocrite.
I don't see anything from Sam.
What is that? That's ridiculous. I understand wanting to experience, like, places on the internet or life on the internet without constantly being, like, berated for your weight or, like, hearing about people's intentional weight loss journeys, whatever. Like, I sympathize with that, but those echo chambers, I feel, serve more harm than good. It's a short-term relief of your mental health pains with long-term consequences. I am in a real long-haul.
All I hear is, I am the Lorax, I speak for the trees. Bossy Spaghetti, this is not a weight loss channel. It is not. QLR has the gift of the app. She does.
Healing journey.
And I'm actually finding myself tuning her out for a moment periodically, and I can't be doing that, so...
My actions and my words from here on out are here to reflect that. If people want to judge me from who I was back in April, from who I...
Well, they haven't really shown much positive change. Last year it did because you were on Monjaro.
I was last year, from who I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that is not my problem. I'm here to heal. I'm not going to let anyone try to dictate my narrative other than myself. This isn't some ploy or attention or anything other than accountability.
I disagree. Oh, well, then let's hold you accountable.
This is really hard for me. And it's an ever-growing, ever-changing process.
A little chilly.
So I'm just going to go ahead and conclude this old-style Instagram rant. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Hi, guys. The ones that are still watching, you're the real ones. Or you just nosy, which, hey, more power to you. I say all of that to say...
Yeah, what is it?
This isn't some bullshit ploy for attention. This isn't some announcement that I'm about to turn into some weight loss account, anything like that. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm having to really de-radicalize myself to
So this
allow
for to be
myself the
cool.
space
Yeah.
to heal.
It's one of the cool
I have to
kids.
deconstruct beliefs that I built throughout my entire adulthood, and it's a weird place to be. I was really some, 23-year-old out here spouting bullshit online, thinking I knew everything, and thinking that I could, I guess, outsmart things that have been around for forever. And there are certain fundamentals that I really have to refocus and gain control within myself on. And I think anyone that really knows me knows, like, I don't blame anybody else for my weight. And I don't see my weight as this huge, horrible thing. I do see it now for what it is, as an obstacle to overcome. Not for how I look. Not at all. But for my goals.
You are one of the cool kids.
For my mobility. For what I want from my life. I've got a long way to go. And I have no desire to enter any kind of rapid weight loss for the reason that...
well, that's a good thing, because you sure as hell didn't. You did well on Manjaro. You lost 100 pounds. You've gained it all back.
I kind of want to see what I can do in terms of salvaging my skin, but I kind of just want to take like the like standard diet approach. I don't want to do weight loss surgery. I don't want to do anything like that. So yeah, we're gonna see. I'm not making any kind of like grand promises. Really, the point of this ramble was just to say that I really overcorrected throughout my 20s.
Don't be like I
and
once
I really
was.
doubled down, tripled down, to the point that I landed in even more radical spaces online. And because of those choices that I made, and because I decided to fall down those rabbit holes, I developed diabetes by the age of 30. And I had been doing a really good job of reversing it. I was, in 2021, I had reversed my pre-diabetes status. And then I made choices that landed me to where I'm at now. So, don't be like me.
Don't worry, we will not be like you. Where's my mouse? My mouse died. Hold on. I need to plug my mouse in. It lived a good life. Let's shock it back to life here. Where are you, mouse? Why are you not? My mouse isn't working at all. That's weird and not good. Hold on a second, because I have no other way to control. I have no other way to control my PC without my mouse. Let me get a different mouse. All right. I have 3 mice on my desk, but this one is pretty new, and I don't know why it suddenly just decided to fuck off. I'll have to plug it in, maybe see if it'll charge. All right. Three blind mice. That is true. We'll watch it later. All right, let's. What is this frickin' thumbnail? What are you doing there, girl? The betrayal and indoctrination of fat acceptance. Vulnerable video journey. This is October 12th, 2023.
I don't really know what comes next. I'm just doing my best, even though I'm so stressed out. Everything just feels like a test that I fail. So
Eat up.
depressed when I can't seem to get out. But something deep inside won't let me.
I do try to stay positive, but I also stay real. And this is fucking real right now.
This is fucking
hey y'all,
real
Rosie
right
editing
now.
Rosie here. I just wanted to pop in before this video starts to give a little smidge of context that I forgot to mention when I filmed this. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had already taken melatonin, and because of where I was at mentally, I could not sleep at all, and I had to kind of talk out some stuff. That's what this video is. It's just me talking out some things that I've experienced recently in the process of speaking out about how fat activism has affected me negatively, and all those types of things. So if you're used to me talking really fast and like that, you might want to watch the rest of this video in a 1.25, 1.5 speed, because I'm talking at a much slower pace than normal. Other people might really appreciate that.
What do you mean at a slower pace than normal? You always talk fucking slow.
Because I talk too fast for them, so I don't know. But I just really felt like
You do not talk too fast for any of us. In all of your recent videos, you talk at this kind of speed. It just feels really, really slow.
it was important that I share this video with y'all. And my next couple videos are going to be a little more like emotional.
Like right now, she's on 1.25. So let's put her at regular speed and see what her speed is like.
Vulnerable, because I'm kind of going through a lot right now. And I'm not sharing a lot of it, but I am choosing to share some of it because I want to be able to look back on this point in my life and see how far I've come. Because yesterday I did some pretty cool stuff and I vlogged about it, but I was in a really emotional state yesterday.
Is that speaking quickly to you all?
So you'll be seeing that, not in this video, but the one after, because I've been kind of stockpiling footage. So I'm just working on, I'm editing and working. So anyway, hi, welcome to me. It's like about to be 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've been up at this time of day. We're gonna ignore the chaos that is my background. It's just my life. I just wrote up this like Instagram story a couple hours ago from a video that I had finished watching, and I have found myself struggling to sleep and struggling tonight, and I want to document this moment of my healing journey and talk about it in a vulnerable video journal style. As the weeks have been going on, after I announced the video with John, I had some fat activists who, and like I know one of them is a model, and were people that at one point that were my mutuals, like had attacked me on Instagram. The first person citing that I'm anti-black because I am speaking out about how activism has hurt me. And then I watched this video today talking about a lot of the history of fat activism that I don't think it's talked about a lot, especially in fat positive spaces. And there were so many women that were talked about in this video, so many women I'd never heard of because they were prominent in fat spaces before I hit the scene in 2013, before like modern fat activism.
The scene.
And the video focused more on dimensions, which I've heard of. I don't know a ton about them specifically, but they spoke about these different women's stories and these lists of fat models who all died within their 40s and 50s, and
some are dying much younger.
Had
I like that
similar
cover.
timelines of finally like realizing that they wanted to reclaim their health, and most of them were tied to certain types of partners.
Those be fifis.
And how, the video used the term encouragers, I guess. I've been pretty vocal about talking about feederism on YouTube platforms and haven't been demonetized, but
Not
I haven't spent a ton
yet.
of time on my channel talking about feudalism, but my heart is feeling really heavy tonight because I feel at such a crossroads right now. I
Have a cool cover.
appreciate having found a way to love myself for who I am and where I'm at in life, because I feel like that has allotted me the ability to love myself enough to want to be healthier and do better for myself. But I am feeling a sense of like abandonment. Not from everyone. I've actually been kind of impressed at the amount of people that are silently supporting me in these communities, and the people that have come to me privately about having left these communities and their experiences. Those things have really been pushing me through and making me feel supported enough to talk about my journey as it's happening. But I remember being 20. I left the church when I was 18, but 19, 20, and realizing and watching
I wish I
people that
remembered
had watched
being
me grow up
19,
and be a
20.
part of my life just like turn their backs on me when I left the church, when I left Mormonism. And I guess I felt some of that pain be re-triggered leaving fat acceptance groups, because I'm still friends with feeties. I'm still friends with people in those communities, and I don't judge them for staying, and I just have a different view of the ideology now. And so anyone that's able to understand that and respect that and know that I'm not hating them or condemning them, but that I am coming to a new place in life and really deeply reevaluating beliefs that I once held so deep to my core, because I once believed that if I didn't believe these things, I was a bad person. And not at all in my early 20s seeing how I was repeating like indoctrination patterns from my childhood. And I see it so clearly now. Because of course, there are people in those spaces that aren't that in depth, that don't hold those values so staunchly. But being someone who, I guess, does take things kind of in a literal sense like that, and being neurodivergent and
Oh my god.
having my religious trauma and all that, it makes so much sense to me, like, now,
I should have pulled up the bingo.
how I got that deep into it. It used to be one of my biggest fears to have a call out like that happen to me on my Instagram when I got those comments from those people within the community saying that, you know, they didn't use the word racist, they used the words anti-black, because so many people within the movement hold the belief that it's founded in being, you know, if you're fat phobic, you're also racist, because those movements are tied intrinsically through inclusivity. I'm not an expert, I don't want to speak for people, but that rhetoric is really damaging, and I think it's one of the many reasons why I struggled to let go of those beliefs to begin with, and why I found them harmful, because it weaponizes people's morality and beliefs. I had someone in those comments literally telling me that I didn't believe in Black Lives Matter because I love fat activism, and I'm like, I don't understand how those equate. And
yeah, hitting all the bingos today. She is.
Nothing that I've ever talked about in this process has had anything to do with the broader movement outside of how fat activism has specifically harmed my psyche and my experiences within fat spaces, and how the current movement within fat activism has strayed so far from being about helping, marginalized bodies, and being more about championing people's specific commodification of their own bodies or their own egos to use that rhetoric for growth, whether financially, socially, attention-wise, whatever the case is. And that I was a perpetrator in that too. It requires an immense amount of self-reflection and self-accountability to see that. If we were talking more about the systemic issues, and we weren't micro-picking our problems as the roots of why, you're making this TikTok or this post or this video, what have you, pushing dangerous misinformation and being activists and figureheads in these communities that continue to encourage, specifically I will speak to young women, young AFABs, who have their ego and youth on their side, to not see the bigger picture. I was that 20-year-old. I was that 23-year-old. I'm currently 31, and outside of my injuries and my thankfully very mild diabetes, I'm fairly healthy in terms of my blood work and other things. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm 31, and it's not always going to be that way.
Right, you're not always going to be 31.
And as I've been looking
Did that
further
say that she's making lifestyle changes? If I wasn't making lifestyle changes. Well, how's that working out for you? How are those lifestyle changes coming along, Rosie? Diabetes can be
and
mild
as
if I
I've
done.
been
I mean,
looking further into those that have left these communities,
I I don't know. I don't know if she might mean that her A1C isn't crazy off the charts. She may be able to just manage it with like metformin without having to take a shot.
and why they've left, and how many people have died so young because they clutched so deeply to these beliefs that were so appealing,
And we're going to open some
especially to
things.
someone like me, when I just wanted to feel accepted and understood. Just wanted a community of people that understood what it was like to be
Itty bitty
ostracized.
ride.
The
Batmobile.
plot got lost somewhere along the way, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And
All right, hush, Rosie. Um, Batman, hush. So I bought these a couple of months ago, and I haven't opened them yet. But they are little itty bitty pops from Batman, and I don't know if I have all of them or not because there's a mystery one in here as well. So we're gonna see if I have all of them. But let's turn Rosie back on here.
I've been feeling very alone because I feel like there's two sides to this conversation, and I'm standing in the fucking middle, and I don't want to walk to one side because I feel like the majority of it are people that hate being fat and hate themselves and are fat phobic and mean. And obviously it's not everybody, but there's a large enough portion of that that's just hard to ignore. And then the other side is like over coddly and overcompensating for the vitriol that fat people get in this world. And I just want to exist, man. I just want to vibe while I figure out what the fuck I'm doing.
Oops. Just want to
While I
vibe.
come to terms with how wrong I've been on some things. And make decisions that I think are what's best for me.
Ouch.
And realizing all these things I've been telling myself for years may not be true. And just realizing like how much fear mongering happens in relation to fat people's health online. On both sides. From the fat folks with, you know,
That
food
folks.
policing and really shitty,
Okay,
unhelpful,
so we have our
uninsightful,
little
unnuanced bullshit comments,
Batman.
to the fat acceptance side just blatantly ignoring like factual
I think I have the big one of
health
that
statistics
too.
and just like
I do.
factual things about health.
I have the big version of this one too. I don't think I have that one. Do I have the big version of? I don't know if I have the big version of that one. But what's our little mystery one? What do we have? We have the Batman versus Superman, number 84. And I do believe I have that one. I think it's further down on my shelf. Yeah, little little mini little Funko Pops. Yeah, they're so cute. They're adorable.
That get diluted to, I don't know, like minimize the negative feelings associated. I have no idea if I'm making any fucking sense right now.
No.
Because I just have this overwhelming urge to record myself talking right now, trying to figure out what's going on in my brain. I feel like betrayed.
I feel like
And I don't really know how to conceptualize that. I feel like betrayed by like a movement.
I will say, I used to call you so small. The people want to call you Tater. So anytime anybody does leave the fat acceptance movement, they are ostracized and they are attacked by a lot of the leaders of that movement, of that community. I am just destroying the shit out of this box. Oh my god. That sure didn't help now, did it? Oh my god, I am a menace today with this, trying to open this little box. It isn't even that hard to fucking open.
And
Spuddy bomb.
I don't quite. I got therapy tomorrow, so I'll be talking to my therapist. Don't worry about that, guys. But I want to document these moments and this journey that I'm on, because I want to look back on this when things are more clear and make
I
more
didn't
sense.
buy the
And
ones
I've been
from this
listening every
movie
day.
series.
And yeah, I've been really not doing too hot with my body pain.
No.
I'm hoping that when my new computer chair comes, that'll help, because this computer chair is broken. Before I went on leave, one day I leaned over in the chair.
Oh, your computer chair is broken. I'm shocked. I do have the big one of this one. Let's see what our little mini one is. What's our mystery one? Come on. No, well, we're not building anything at the moment. We're opening up a package. Little boxes. Oh my god. My hands are not wanting to function today. This is also. Oh no, do I have two of these? No. I'm gonna have to try to order. I'm gonna have to try to order another one because I got a duplicate of the mystery one. No.
And lost my balance, and the chair fell with me in it.
Oh my
And it's
god.
happening the same sense. And I think it's getting worse. And so it's just extraordinarily uncomfortable, even for a short period of time, let alone an 8-hour shift. And it's getting colder, so I think I'm not going to be able to get into the pool much anymore. And I'm worried about that because I use that pool a lot to help with stretching and doing my light workouts and stuff. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I feel stuck. And I really shouldn't be putting emphasis on other people's comments. And so I apologize if that's like how that was coming off earlier when I was mentioning all of that. But it's just, I guess I just feel like, because I don't know fully where and how I stand, I just feel lost. I feel lost. I'm a lot less angry this go around versus when I left the church. For years, I couldn't talk about God without getting angry. When I left Mormonism. But I'm feeling and seeing so many parallels.
Oh, I have another duplicate. Damn it.
These experiences that I'm having. And it just hurts. And I'm not wanting to sit in that hurt at all. I want to ignore it. I want to push it to a side. I want it to figure itself out and be uninvolved from me while it's doing it. And that's not how emotions work. I've always been someone who's over-intellectualized my feelings instead of feeling them. That's something that happens a lot with people that have heightened self-awareness. And I'm most certainly someone who has a heightened sense of self-awareness.
Oh my god. Do you? Do you have heightened self-awareness? Because I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the heightened self-awareness. I'm sorry. Just not seeing it.
I have had every therapist that I've
This POV of QLR is giving me flashbacks of when Amber would rant and ramble when they were still at Eric and Ricky's. Maybe into Lululand, but yeah, no.
ever had tell me that. And it's not the compliment they think it is. It's exhausting.
What are we crying about now?
I have been struggling to get on here and talk about anything because this has been very heavily on my mind the past few weeks. And I'm not ready to talk about certain things yet. I'm not ready to go into the ways like I want to reconvene my health and things like that. Because I don't want everybody interjecting their thoughts and opinions into it. And I struggle with feeling like that and feeling like I want to share. I've always wanted to share myself and build a community of people who are here for me, you know?
Do I have more of these somewhere?
And that exists. I have that. But I'm also seeing just how many people were here because we had the same ideology. And the moment I reflected and changed that, he didn't give a shit about me. And that sucks. Healing, real healing, ain't fucking pretty. It isn't sunshine and rainbows and pearly, pretty, branded, sponsored content talking about Bloom or Better Health or whatever. Healing is non-linear, messy, ugly. Sometimes it's not consistent. Sometimes it takes a lot of takes.
It's also not what you've been
doing. A lot of dead ends. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well,
I'm so fucking proud of myself. I had the realization recently that as of January of this year, I spent $1,100 on DoorDash in 1 month.
Wow, that's Amber numbers.
And I know how far I've come. So, no amount of hate comments on TikTok while I'm working out or naysayers about what I'm doing or how I'm doing it is going to deter the amount of growth I've fucking had. And just because pounds aren't melting off of my body doesn't discount the amount of growth and change I've made in my lifestyle.
Oh my god, I have 3 of those.
And I'm fucking proud of that.
Damn it.
I have such a long way to go. And I have a lot to figure out.
Well, I need to order more of those.
And it's not going to be easy. At all.
And it's like these random people aren't your besties.
I'm going to get there in my own time. And the first step...
Oh, shit.
...was letting go of a movement of rhetoric that was holding me back from allowing myself the space for growth. And I'm not sorry that pisses anyone off.
Comes with these little display cases too.
It's just interesting to realize that
stack together.
Who I once considered friendly or friends attacking me for saying that something hurt me. I think it was the title of Obesity's video that we did. I think that's what set a lot of people off. But fat acceptance harmed me.
I am missing.
True. I okayed that title, and I stand by that. You know, I don't know if I should say this or not, but he originally wanted to put that it destroyed my life. And I didn't okay that title because I don't think that's true. And like Johnny Wynn said himself, and I believe this too, there are a lot of good parts to fat acceptance. Like, otherwise I wouldn't have stood in it so much and believed in it so much. There are good parts to it. There were things that helped me in the journey of self-love and self-discovery when I was younger. And that's what I'm trying to figure out how to untangle. Like, how to untangle it, how to, like, separate. I'll come on here with a proper update. I filmed one a while ago, but I feel like it's obsolete already. So I have some stuff to update you guys on and things I want to talk about. But this topic, these thoughts, have been really ruminating in my mind. And I'm going to remember to link the video I mentioned at the beginning of this. I kind of spread this. There's been a lot of videos that I've been watching recently from certain creators that I really appreciate, because there's a couple I clicked on of other creators that are clearly super shitty and just, like, seeking the fat phobic views, like the people that just, like, love to clown on fat people and, like, don't give a fuck about fat people or fat people's feelings at all. But there are a lot of creators that do care about those things and are critical to these movements and how they've harmed and hurt people. And I'm really thankful for those creators, because it makes this whole process more accessible. Because I'm not going to sit there and watch people, especially people who've never been fat, like, make fun of fat people. Like, that's not what I'm here to do. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all on the flip side later.
Oh, good Lord. I mean, yeah, fat acceptance. Once you leave it, they are going to turn on you. They're going to turn on you for leaving the movement.
And I don't really know what comes next. I'm just doing my best, even though I'm so stressed out. Everything just feels like a test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out. But something deep inside won't let me.
I do try to stay positive, but I also stay real. And this is fucking real right now.
I also stay real.
I'm getting ready to go to the gym for the first time.
Good for you.
In a decade. My brother has a membership and he's able to take guests with him. My mom went last time.
Planet Fitness.
So I'm gonna go this time. I have no idea if I'm gonna be vlogging this experience or not. I have no idea, like, technically if I'll be able to, like,
her brother gets by just fine. He doesn't need Rosie to take care of him. He has a gym membership, he has a job, he can take care of himself, but Rosie treats him like a fucking child. I mean, she's worried about the Amber situation. So the day that it happened, like, she's like, oh, I'm gonna have to stop eating on camera, turn my camera off while I eat. And that night she did. But then the next night she was back eating on camera again. Oh, excuse me. You're sad that Amber deleted all her videos. Giving I'm 12, and this is deep vibes. It is.
In terms of what I'm doing, how much I'm working out, if I'm just gonna have a panic attack, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah. So, I'm scared. But my goal is to get on an elliptical, even if it's only for 5 minutes. That's really it. Maybe I kind of want to play around with the weights. I don't know.
Your fan needs to be fixed. It's making some noise back there.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It's
Shocker,
okay.
I know.
Do anything. Doing anything is good.
I had therapy earlier, so I'm still kind of in a weird headspace. That's why I look like the way I do. I've been crying. Because, you know, therapy.
It looks like I've been crying. I have been.
I talked a lot about...
So back in this time period, 2 years ago, people were still supporting Rosie and still supportive of Rosie because, you know, she was doing kickboxing, she went to the gym, she was talking about leaving fat acceptance and all these changes and everything that she wanted to start making. And people were still supportive of Rosie at this time. Oh, whoops. I already have this. I didn't mean to click on that.
What I talked about in my last video, if I uploaded the vulnerable video journal, I haven't even watched it back yet as of recording this clip.
You did upload it.
Yeah, I'm scared. I really don't know what else to say other than I'm going to the gym for the first time in 10 years. And my world feels very overwhelming and scary right now. because of all these changes that I've been making these past few weeks, internally, like in terms of my beliefs of things and trying to get my health back together. And it's been disheartening how much like hate I've been getting on certain
She looks bigger now than she does here 2 years ago.
platforms, but I've just been kind of pushing through it and ignoring it. And so even though part of me like doesn't want to do this because I have so many asinine comments being like, just go to the gym, it's like I'm doing this because
So people can say, go to the gym, but if they want to use any machines, like a treadmill or anything, those machines have weight limits. And sometimes gyms aren't going to have a treadmill or elliptical that can hold 450 pounds. Was she the one that did the interview about leaving her Fifi partner? Rosie says that she was groomed into Fifiism. I haven't seen that interview, so I don't know 100% the story behind it. Um, but she's talked about being groomed into Fifiism and leaving it and all, how she didn't realize she was in that. So maybe we can find that interview. Oh, you know what? I think it's the interview that is she talks about um the We're All Insane podcast. Let me see if she links that interview. She has it actually linked right here.
Hi, my name is Rosie, and I was groomed into feederism. And it's a
Oh my God. Instead of turkey, we're all going to do primed rib. Well, yeah, people were super supportive of her at this time.
long story. So, I guess I'll start with childhood. I was born into a Mormon family. I was raised Mormon. I left the church when I was 18. When I was 18, we can get to that in a minute. But I like when I was a lot younger, we lived in Michigan. Like that's where I was born, and essentially I was molested when I was 6 years old, and that's kind of the foundation of what ended up turning into my CPTSD, which is basically the same thing as PTSD but complex. So there's some more added symptoms to it, and it's generally towards people who either have like extreme early childhood trauma, most commonly sexual trauma, and there's just some like additional nuances to that kind of PTSD wherein you basically had like a lifetime of trauma that's accumulated. And so he lived with us for 6 months, and ultimately he ended up getting kicked out when my mom like walked in on him on top of me, I guess. Not fun nor fresh. However,
Okay, so they had somebody staying with them, and he was essaying Rosie, and he got kicked out.
basically I didn't really tell anybody the extent of what happened, because what was witnessed was kind of benign compared to what he actually did. And then when I was 23, he actually got arrested on a Fed bust. He got arrested for creating and producing child pornography off of a Nintendo DS. I don't know if that detail was actually in the news. They just said it was like a handheld device, but my mom told me it was a Nintendo DS. And the girl was 7 and I was 6. I think I was his second victim. His first was another family member, not in my family. And his mother, real piece of shit. Yeah. Like she's a really terrible human being. She's been estranged from our family since about that time. That was my mom's attempt to try to help this child because he was 12 when I was 6. Wow, and okay. I mean, so because that's the bottom line.
Okay,
it's
so
like, he was traumatized too. He went through that kind of abuse.
So it was another child It sounds like it might have been a cousin or something, somebody related to her.
Hands of people that she let into his life. But, you know, he turned into a monster and I turned into whatever the hell I am, which is not a monster, but sometimes a shit show.
Well,
And so, you know, school and life growing up was really hard. You know, I call myself a self-determined autistic at this point. I'm actually scheduled to be diagnosed in November, so it's coming up, but
you were scheduled to be assessed and you were found to, sorry, you can't even see me. You were found to not be autistic when she was sick, 6.
you know, and I mentioned like I'm diagnosed ADHD, diagnosed PTSD, and recently finally got the proper confirmation of my MDD diagnosis, so like major depressive disorder. Because I was misdiagnosed at 16 as bipolar.
Wow. So were you on medicines for that?
At times. So I think my body always could tell like a lot of these medicines didn't work for me, and I'll get to this in a minute because like a lot of my journey I've been documenting as of recently on my YouTube. Quirky Love Rose.
Don't worry, we'll link you.
No,
it'll be down there.
Just had to, you know, crack a joke there. But no, but
She's so
yeah, and I'll get to that, 'cause
cringy.
actually that username means a lot to me, and that ties back into more like the gang stalking off of Reddit and the trauma from back in 2013, 2015 that I experienced online. Because I didn't use that username for a long time. I used to go by Fat Rose Phoenix because the Phoenix has a lot of symbolism for me in my life. And so, but yeah, anyway, what were we talking about? What was I talking about? Oh, the MDD
Yes.
and the bipolar medication.
See, you got it.
Yeah, I try. So, yeah, basically I was, you know, given these different medications when I was younger, and I never was able to stay on them long term until like my early 20s. And I had some success for about a year, but they had me on this medication for many years. I got on it when it was like a drug trial. It was called Saffris. And it was like an under the tongue,
Tablet.
yeah, but it was just like, it's like, I think it might have been an antipsychotic.
Okay.
Which I never needed an antipsychotic, fun fact. Because when you have like a special combination of like being autistic, ADHD, and traumatized, you can come off like you're manic. You can come off like you're experiencing mania, but you're not. You're having trauma responses through neurodivergency. And like there's not enough conversation about that. I feel like in the past couple of years, there's finally conversations happening about it because I didn't even know about this stuff until the past few years and doing a ton of independent research, reading different research journals and everything, just trying to understand myself better. And, you know, because I've done a lot of therapy in my life, and like EMDR I did for several years, done a lot of DBT skills, CBT skills, individual therapy, talk therapy, art therapy.
So she's learned, yeah, that's why they say things before they get assessed. So she's had enough therapy, like we've said, to where she knows all the buzzwords and all the things to say. And it makes her sound very believable when she starts talking about a lot of these things. But she was assessed for autism, and they said she doesn't have it. I have a video where we cover her videos on that.
Music therapy. And yeah, so anyway, and that's all started at the age of 10. Okay. So like I was bullied a lot in school. My high school experience was weird because when I went into freshman year, I went to a brand new high school. So I was the first freshman class to be in the building. There was a freshman class and a sophomore class. And when they were freshmen, they had to be freshmen in a middle school. So like it was a really weird situation.
Why does that matter? Why is it important?
Yeah, in middle school and high school, I was relentlessly bullied, and to the point of like pretty much not pretty much everybody knew who I was, but it wasn't for like a good reason. It was like I was the butt of every fat joke. There was maybe only one other kid there who was even like remotely as big as I was, because, you know, I was molested, and at the age of 6, I started gaining weight at the age of 7 because I didn't remember the event of like my mom walking in on anything, because what she walked into was just like the beginnings of something. So they didn't have a full understanding of what he had actually done to me in that time. And I didn't tell anybody until I was like 16, and I told a friend, and then I didn't tell my parents or a therapist until I was 18. Okay. And so pretty much my entire childhood was literally and metaphorically shoveling everything that I could. And, you know, I was a Mormon. I wasn't out going doing drugs, so I was eating, right? And by the time I was 9, I had really extreme depression, but that was back when kids couldn't be depressed. Right. Kids can be depressed. And I think we know that now,
Yeah.
you know, more or less. And I think there's a lot more grace given to that, at least in like standard society. I know there's lots of like different cultures that may still struggle on those topics for sure.
And it's sad too because there's no age, you know, and especially too when you've gone through something, it's like as a child you might try to block that out and not really necessarily remember details, but it's there. And everything that happens in life, I always say everything that happens, both good and bad, have an impact. 100%.
It's about the experience.
Yep.
You know, there can be 40-year-olds that couldn't even begin to imagine what a 7-year-old has experienced.
Yep, exactly.
And that's the missing nuance we had for so long in regards to mental health. And I think it stems back to a lot about how children end up getting treated like property so often, or like extensions of selves of parents instead of as individual tiny humans that have individual tiny needs and that get very mighty when the world places expectations on them they never should have had to begin with.
Right.
And so, you know, and my home life was really unstable. So I took a lot of solace in the church. And, you know, I'll say to my parents' credit, they have done something that most people of my generation don't get to experience. And that's go to therapy as like boomers, and like take accountability and give apologies. And, you know, I give them so much credit for that because, you know, I think a lot of people in my generation were raised being yelled at a lot. And I had a lot of expectations placed on me that I couldn't meet, and no one knew why, because, you know, I'm autistic, and like I don't even need a doctor to tell me I'm autistic at this point. Truthfully, the reason I'm pursuing a diagnosis is just because I want my parents to believe me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm autistic, and like I don't even need a doctor to tell me I'm autistic at this point. Truthfully, the reason I'm pursuing a diagnosis.
So she says that because if the diagnosis, or if the here we go. Isn't this neat? Little wall hanging thingy for. If the doctor comes back and says that she's not, it's like, well, I don't need the diagnosis. I know in my heart that I'm autistic. You thought Steakums? Hey, Steakums work just fine. I wonder if because Levi had more of their parents' attention as a kid, because of his autism, that Rosie is desperate to be diagnosed with the same. I've seen that happen, and yeah. So Rosie kind of has classic middle child syndrome. She has an older sister, and she has said that she didn't get enough attention from her parents growing up, and I think that's why she wants this diagnosis. She wants her parents to feel bad for focusing on Levi with that and not as much on her. And then poor Rosie had to fend for herself. I will say the SAing when she was a child, that's not good. That is absolutely going to have a negative effect on her. But she's not autistic. How the hell does this mount? Oh. Fuck.
Diagnosis is just because I want my parents to believe me.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of transparent about that because at this point they still don't. And I understand why.
Because you're not.
That would require a lot for them to consider about what happened in my childhood.
Oh, because you think?
Because my brother's autistic.
Okay.
And he was diagnosed when we were children and I was not. Now, is that their fault? No, because the science didn't exist. The research didn't exist. Hans Asperger, the guy that Asperger's is named after, is a literal Nazi scientist. Like, this is all factual. Like, you can do your research. It's all out there. Like, this isn't like speculation. Like, he was a Nazi researcher. He purposefully did not publish his research on little girls. He did research also on like POC children and white boys. He published the white boys. And so that's why throughout the 90s and early 2000s and like the Jenny McCarthy's, is that her name? Jenny, whatever her name is.
Yeah, right.
Her little push on autism and and the damage of autism speaks and everything.
Well, the girls are big on self-diagnosis. Yeah. It's, and I think that's another reason why she wants to have the diagnosis, because she wants to be able to excuse, oh, I'm not good at social cues because I'm autistic, and that sort of thing.
And how autism's been portrayed as like something to be cured, as like a disease, when it's just a neuropathy and a way of processing. And, in conjunction with other intellectual disabilities and things like that, it can have far more severity in some people versus others. Right. But autism is a spectrum, and
And you're not on it.
back then I couldn't be autistic because I was hyperverbal, because I was hyperlexic, because but I would also struggle with reading too. Like, so I read so much as a kid. Like, I regret the tattoo now. I got this before all the JK bullshit, but you know, Harry Potter was such a big thing for me as a kid because it was like a story about friendship. And you know, I spent so much of my childhood feeling like I was never understood, and like had all these expectations of being like a neurotypical Mormon girl, and I could never meet them, and feeling like a constant failure, and being Mormon and feeling like that because of what my cousin had done to me, that I was somehow less pure, that I was no longer innocent, that I was of the devil, that there was evil in me. Like, these narratives that I formed in my head because I was too scared to talk about what had happened. And being like 14 and being interviewed by the bishop and being asked really inappropriate questions about my chastity, and having to like, am I lying to him? Because it's not like I chose to do anything in any sexual nature, but they had been done to me. And so I wasn't ready to tell a strange man in a room by myself with the door closed what had happened to me. I couldn't even tell my mom.
That's lame. I'm not saying that her parents are perfect, but I wouldn't want to contend with Rosie. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's why they are so like, okay, okay, whenever she starts to get angry on live streams, because they've seen her temper tantrums. Hey, Fiona's mom. Mm, They, yeah, your your husband's doctor thinks he might have Asperger's. Yeah, that term isn't used anymore, I know. Um, because of the doctor with the research, yeah, but it's high functioning, right? All right, what else can I do while we're sitting here watching this? I can organize I can organize what's in my desk drawer thingy, or I can just pay attention.
And so, you know, that's what I think of like when I say religious trauma. I got lucky in the sense that I was never abused by leadership in any sexual or physical way. I had, you know, personality disagreements, but I'm a bit spicy, so that's just kind of how life goes for me. And especially when I was younger, I was
Oh,
a lot more.
you're angry. Mormon culture is toxic. They just made policies recently. The parents can't be in the room for these creepy ass questions. Yeah, that is just it's creepy.
Hot-headed, and I was a lot more unstable because I had no sense of self. I had such a deep hatred for myself. Like, I had no self-worth, like no grounding for anything like that. Like, I never got the environment or the opportunity to foster that for myself until I hit my early 20s. And ironically, I downloaded Instagram. So I guess I'll just kind of transition out of that. Like, you know, I talk, and I think I'm actually posting a video soon about my experience living Mormonism, but I left when I was 18. And
And what is that process like?
isolating, but also freeing.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people say that Mormonism is a cult. I've always called it like a diet
It
cult.
is.
That's the best way I can kind of explain that, because I feel like calling it a cult is a little too extreme. But
Could you have washed your hair for this, Rosie? It looks maybe it's wet from a shower, but her hair looks greasy.
the mentality is there. Like, I got iced out really hard.
What did your family think?
So my family's a bit of a unique experience. My dad left when I was 10.
Okay.
I have no idea where my mom currently stands, but I believe she still like believes in the gospel, as far as I know. My sister is the only active Mormon left in my family. My family has never been the type to be as
Those are
extreme as
two
I've seen
big
other
ones,
Mormons, like who
Fiona's
will disown family, things like that. Like, you know, we drink Diet Coke. You know, there are some Mormons that are they take the Doctrine and Covenant so seriously they won't drink caffeinated soda. You know, things like that. But growing up, we didn't drink coffee, we didn't drink tea, or you know, anything like that, and we would go to church most of the
Now she's throwing back those sodas.
time. I would say that for me, I clung to the church really heavily when I was young. And when I was 15 is when I had a conversation with a kid in high school, and I was kind of like, we were arguing about gay rights, and closeted queer me was on the wrong side of history, talking like a dumbass, and spouting everything I'd been spoon fed my whole life through the doctrine and everything. And this guy was so sick of my shit, bless his heart. And he finally just goes like, because a lot of this I don't remember, but this is the moment that's always stuck with me like throughout my whole life. I was probably about 15 at the time. He goes, I just don't understand why two people can't love each other. Like, what's so wrong with that? And I froze, because I remember like there was like, we were in like a social studies class or something, and there was chatter, and the room went silent to me. Like, everyone was.
I don't blame Rosie for having some religious trauma from her time growing up in that. However, she doesn't really do anything to help herself except chasing diagnoses. Yeah. She needs to have an explanation for why she does the things she does that's external to her. It can't just be that she's just kind of a crappy person, right? She's so dramatic. Oh, the room went silent to me.
So talking, but to me, like everything went really quiet. And I just had this really soft but very loud thought of, I don't know either. And then immediately something came out of my mouth to defend myself because I needed to be right. Because hi, I'm a Sagittarius and with a Taurus moon, so I have to be stubborn. And I'm not a Taurus moon, Taurus rising. Who am I?
I'm glad you know all that stuff.
Yeah,
all of that. That's
yeah. Oh yeah, Cancer moon. Then if you're curious, but which is why I get.
We're not, but thank you.
So emotional sometimes, but anyway, if you yeah, I like that stuff. I don't take it like too terribly seriously, but at the same time I take it seriously. You know what I'm saying?
I'm the same way.
But yeah, I walked away from that conversation and I was never the same. I was never the same.
Yeah, Fiona.
It shook my world because my entire world was built around that. I was very isolated as a child. I didn't do much outside of church and school. I didn't go pretty much anywhere. I mean, at one point my parents had 7 jobs between them, and yeah, 7. Like it was like that was later on in my childhood, thankfully. So it was really like sheltered and a little lonely a lot of the time. And also I struggled to make and keep friends. Most of the friends that I made friends with me as a joke, and I was autistic and I wasn't in on the joke. And so I started questioning everything, and then I just got so angry. Like this was around the time I got misdiagnosed as bipolar, because I was just filled with rage. I had people telling me like when I was around the age of 16, they have memories of me literally like bulldozing down the hallway, like elbowing kids out of my way because I was sick of everyone's shit at that point.
Yeah, so because you were a bully. Yeah, she's desperate to have it. It's my BPD excuse, like Amber. Mars says, I just remembered that when I would get into in disagreements with my ex, he would say shit like, "Ugh, I must be autistic or something," whenever he was in the wrong. Gross. Yeah, don't be using that just as excuses to like pretend you don't understand something. Or Fiona's mom, she could have worn a more flattering top in addition to washing her hair. Yeah, I mean, this isn't the nicest look. I mean, we're kind of spilling out over here.
So I started questioning everything, and then I just got so angry. Like this was around the time I got misdiagnosed as bipolar, because I was just filled with rage. I had people telling me like when I was around the age of 16, they have memories of me literally like bulldozing down the hallway, like elbowing kids out of my way because I was sick of everyone's shit at that point. I had been walked all over, made fun of. Like, I mean, at one point I got pants in the hallway. Some guy like threw a dodgeball at me in 6th grade and like blew the wind out of me, like because he put all of his energy, like all of his might into hitting me square in the back. I mean, I had like, people pretending to be my friends, so I would trust them and share stuff, and then go out and like make fun of me for it.
She dropped out of high school, and ended up getting her GED. Oh, here's Obese to Beast video about Rosie.
Like just the list goes on and on. And so by that point, I was itching to fight. By that
And I've
point,
heard she was
I
the
getting
bully.
an ISS for getting in disagreements with teachers. Like I was looking for opportunities to fight, and like not physically, more or less, more verbally, just like because
you were angry.
I was so angry, and like that's I think eventually what kind of led to me finally telling.
She was wearing a white/nude cardigan. She is not. That is her body.
The truth about what my cousin had done.
Well, because over time things just bottle up, and it's going to eventually spill over. You know, you can't keep everything in forever, even if we try.
Yeah, and so, and eventually, what ended up happening is before I made my Instagram, and like when I left the church, I overcorrected.
And that was at 18.
Yeah, so by about 2021 is when I discovered the amateur Reddits. Okay. So part of me losing my virginity when I was 18, like, is actually in conjunction with how I left the church. So I met some guy off of Yahoo Messenger because I didn't know what the word BBW meant.
Right. Yeah, Fiona's mom. Sometimes gaining weight is a way to try to keep people away from you. So people don't try to touch you again.
The phrase meant at the time. And I was 18, and I get into the chat room, and I'm like, what does BBW mean? Because I couldn't figure it out. Like all the other channels had made sense to me. So part of me, so by about 2021 is when I discovered the amateur Reddits. Okay. So part of me losing my virginity when I was 18, like, is actually in conjunction with how I left the church. So I met some guy off of Yahoo Messenger because I didn't know what the...
Why are we sharing this? Why? What does this have to do with being groomed into feudalism?
The word BBW meant, the phrase meant at the time. And I was 18, and I get into the chat room, and I'm like, what does BBW mean? Because I couldn't figure it out. Like, all the other channels had made sense to me. And they said big, beautiful woman. And so my 18-year-old, like almost 400-pound, if not 400-pound response was, wait, people actually like fat people, which is the saddest thing ever.
Yeah.
But, you know, to them, they thought I was a troll when I said that, right? That makes sense. But they started getting mad at me. I was like, no, wait, you don't understand. I'm 18 and I'm fat. And so when they realized I wasn't a bot and I wasn't a troll, my DMs exploded. And I was like, what's happening? Because I was so sheltered. Like, I can't express how sheltered I was. I had never had a boyfriend. I had never been kissed. I had like a couple of like little high school dating moments that lasted like a couple days. This was right around the time I met my first boyfriend.
Well, it was probably shocking too, because it probably felt like, wait, like I just found a community of people I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, exactly. And so like one time I had like, so my dad would build us like zombie computers and stuff. He's always been a tech guy. We call him zombie computers because he'd get parts from all these places. So it was, you know, like the year 2010 and I had a Windows 95 PC, but I had it to myself. Because back then, like, most people had like one family computer everybody shared, unless you were like rich, and in which case then you could have your own. But you needed like big time money back then to be able to do that. Now it's like everybody has a computer, right, you know, of some sort. But yeah, I one time I logged in and I said my ASL, because again, like 2010, and like I got like 80 DMs in the span of, I'm not kidding, like 2 seconds, and it crashed my computer. And I was like, what is this world? And so I ended up losing my virginity and like kissed and everything in one go, which is like,
Why are we sharing this on this podcast? Just seeing with some of the comments here. Yeah.
yeah, I wish I could have been smarter about that, but I don't know why, I got a bug up my ass that I needed to do it.
So was
And
it like just somebody random you met
yeah,
online?
it really sucks because he was like 10 years older. He totally took advantage of that. Yeah, like,
But he happened to be local, like
he was visiting, and it was just like I lied to my parents. I told them I was spending the night at a friend's house. This person is a piece of garbage, but at the time I didn't know that. I knew her since she was like 5, and back when I went through the stuff in 2020 that hopefully we'll get through, she really like screwed me over. But you know,
we'll get there, apparently.
narcissists. I think she was one of the first ones in my life, and it took me a really long time to figure that out because she was like a really good friend. Well, I was a really good friend to her, but I think most of our friendship, she, you know, used me, and just in general was a pretty unkind person.
Yeah.
So yeah, but she did cover for me. She's actually, my mom hated her because she's the one that.
Rosie is a person that uses people so much. So to say that her friend was the one using people, it's just like listening to all of this now, a lot of it is like, how much of this is actually true?
That really taught me the ways of being not Mormon to an extreme, for sure. And in fact, she's the one that told me about the Reddit boards, because that all happened a couple years later. I downloaded Instagram. It's like the timelines of this from like 2012 to 2016 get really fuzzy. So sometimes I get a little confused on the years.
Or filtered, heavily filtered.
Or I might be off by 1 or 2 years. So I do apologize. This section of my life is a big blur, especially because of the r/fat people hate drama stuff that I dealt with. That was traumatic. Which, have you ever heard of that subreddit?
No, I have not.
They got disbanded in, I think, 2015, if not 2016, for sure. Like, Reddit had to intervene and completely remove the subreddit. Before they did, though, they had done a really good job of ruining my life. So it all started on the positive subreddits at first. They have ones for like BBW, SSBBW, just different like fat people, like amateur porn stuff, just like posting nudes or whatever.
Oh my
so
God.
I started posting on there, just like nothing like too crazy, just like photos of myself and stuff. And then I was really young at the time, so I was getting a lot of positive attention. And I actually met 2 people during this time that are very pivotal to the story. One is the stalker, and the other is the person who I thought was love of my life. They were both in my life for about the same amount of time. And I'll get to that in a second. But basically, I started posting, and I had people in my DMs encouraging me to do things like Chatterbait, or you know, this is before OnlyFans, so like getting connected with like certain like porn sites or whatever. Just like, you know, you can make a lot of money, and because especially in like the BBW, SSBBW world, like there are ways to make really good money, like especially if you know what you're doing. And nowadays, like if you already have an existing following and stuff, it's not hard. And so, yeah, so I started posting on there, and then that's when the first blackmailing happened. I don't have any proof to this, but I believe the blackmailing was done by my stalker.
Okay. How old were you at this point?
I would say I was roughly 23, maybe 22. This was in like 2012, 2013.
And this is all on like Reddit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, I had
in 2012, 2013, she would have been like 21, 22. She just turned 34.
moved over to Chatterbait, and so I had like closed down my Facebook, but the one thing I didn't do was I forgot to hide my family list. So this guy was a lot scarier than he seemed because he found my Facebook, which, you know, to my own stupidity / ignorance, I used my real first name because I didn't want to fake a first name. I just used a different last name or second name. And it probably wasn't hard to find my Facebook. And I locked everything else down, but basically I was live for the third time ever when he's like, "Are you full legal name?" Which that weird, I don't even think that was my Facebook name.
Yeah.
And then, is your mom full name? Is your dad full name? Is your grandma full name? Is your aunt full name? And so I freaked out because at this point, I wasn't sure if my parents would disown me for doing something like this or not. I just didn't know. We didn't communicate a lot in a very, you know, concise way at that point in time. We were still kind of reeling from childhood stuff. And I just was afraid of that. Like,
well, I think also, like, no matter what age you are, like what you choose to do in your free time doesn't necessarily, we don't really go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to share this with my parents. You know what I mean? No matter what age you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it just kind of became this really big thing. I immediately because there were people watching me as I was reading this. So I stayed silent and just, you could see on my face that something was wrong, but I just ended the live. And basically he made up some story about a guy pretending to be my boyfriend and scamming him of $300. And I either needed to give him his $300 back or I needed to do what he said. And I didn't have $300. So I can only describe what I experienced that day as like web, like rape. Like, I don't know. Like, it was really traumatic.
No.
To be honest. Like, it sucked.
Yeah.
And
I would not describe it as that.
So
I would not describe it as that. That is very dramatic and over the top. He was trying to blackmail you into giving him money. I would not describe it as web rape. That is very dramatic and not okay to do that. I don't know if I can finish this at the moment. We may have to finish this later when I have something else that I can do to keep my hands busy. I don't know if I can finish that. All right, we might end this here. Yeah, I don't like that comparison either. It has been 2 hours. I do need to go finish hanging up some laundry. But I did make a little bit of, oh, you know what I could do? I could, okay, we are going to finish playing this. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. I have a Lego that I can put together. I can build the plum blossom. And I can get through this interview.
he just made you do things like online?
Like on a Skype call.
Okay.
And I think he recorded it. And if I and what I remember is that ended and I had a thought to myself. I was like, someone like this is gonna come back. Because I like, not to be that person, but like I watched a lot of Criminal Minds growing up, and I'm not fully caught up on all the seasons, but I watched it a lot. And when I was younger, I think I used it weirdly as like a coping skill, but nowadays it's almost a little too much for me, so I don't watch it like I used to. But I just was like viewing it as like a profile of someone who's gonna behave that way. Like I was like, he's gonna come back. Little did I know, the day after, I'm pretty sure I was talking to him in the DMs and he was comforting me, because I am a victim of a narcissistic sociopath. He stalked me for a total of 8 years. We met around this time. I think that was his first attack on me. He led the gang stalking, because a lot of women were targeted on r/fat people hate. Like a lot of us, like back when I first created my Instagram, like I posted my first ever selfie of me leaving the house in a tank top for the first time after leaving Mormonism. Like I joined the body positivity communities because I made an Instagram, and at first I was like anti-Instagram, like, oh, why do I want to get on this like app where everybody just posts food pics? Because again, 2012, and I was a little late to the game, but I was early before it got super mainstream. And so I went.
She's such a hipster, folks. Such a hipster. I was on Instagram before it was popular.
On the BBW tags because I knew about those, and that's how I discovered body positivity, F Your Beauty Standards, and eventually I became one of the first admins of Pizza Sisters for Life, which was like, it started as like a joke when one of my mutuals on Instagram got wine drunk, and she made a hashtag Pizza Sisters, the number 4, life with a Y, and it kind of became like an alt movement to things like F Your Beauty Standards and stuff like that, because a lot of us don't really mess with like Tess Monster for stuff she did way before she was mainstream, or sorry, Tess Holiday. I don't keep up with her. Like I don't have anything too much against her, but like there was people that were a part of those spaces back then know about like the t-shirt scam, and like she did some shifty stuff back then, and you know, I can't speak who she is now or, you know, anything like that. I don't, you know, I'm not here to talk shit about nobody, but that was part of it. Like a lot of us, because at that point, that was like right before she got big, but she was really well known on those Instagram spaces and had pissed some people off and stuff. And so, yeah, I would basically just blog about my journey learning about feminism, intersectionality, POC culture, just, you know, things that being raised Mormon, super sheltered in the rural South, you know, I had a bit of an awakening. And so I definitely was pretty vocal when I was 23, and I was trying to come into myself, and I've done a few different overcorrections in my life. And so I think some people found me like really irritating just because I was loud and vocal, and
are
a lot of big places like the r/fat people hate, the LOL Cal sites, Kiwi Farms, there's all these different sites that are like dedicated hate forums essentially, and that spend their time like basically tracking people that they call they call them LOL cows, and to be an LOL cow you basically have to be somebody that people want to hate on, and a lot of them have a theme of either being autistic, fat, mentally delayed in some way, extremely awkward, and then those people also somehow get lumped in with like predators and like really terrible people, racists, things like that. But then weirdly these people in these forums are, a lot of them, I won't say every single one, but a lot of them are being racist, homophobic, transphobic, like they'll target like trans people that aren't passing well to their standards.
I was gonna say basically like your experience on like Reddit and these, I guess, what was the other one? Chatterbait, that was called?
Chatterbait, yeah. Well,
like all of these things, like, so I feel like I mean, and this goes with anything, there's positives and negatives, because I feel like there's these groups that you can be a part of and almost feel like, oh, I fit into this category, or I can, you know, benefit from this, but then at the same time it opens it up to all these evil, hateful things.
At the end of the day, I got targeted by one person that was able to put a magnifying glass on me like a tiny little ant to set me on fire.
Okay.
It's the best way I can explain it. Had that man not gotten involved, it would not be nearly what it became.
Okay.
Because when I was being posted, so like basically every time I posted on Instagram, I remember one time when I was like we were in the heat of it all, and also I was in the middle of getting into this relationship. So when I met both of these people, my stalker and my ex, I was like, you know, considering dating, because when I was 19, I had been in a relationship for about 5 months. He ended up breaking up with me on our 5-month anniversary at 2:00 over Facebook Messenger, and a couple days later, kissed my best friend at my house. Then she was dating somebody else at the time who, turned out to be a child predator, and he claimed he was reformed or whatever. And for some, that man literally tried adding me on Facebook like something like a month ago. I was
Nobody
like,
cares.
Who the fuck are you? Bye. But yeah, this whole little saga I'm gonna kind of glance over, but it was insane because, trigger warning, he tried to slit his throat in front of me. I had to jump on him, me and her, and keep the knife away from him, and I had to stop him from trying to kill himself. Whether he ever actually meant to, I think he's strong enough that if he really wanted to, he could have gotten out from me. I think it may have actually just been a manipulation tactic, but I mean, the knife was there.
He was strong enough he could have gotten out from under you. You're like 400 pounds at this time. Really? You think?
And I was the one screaming for help as I was holding it away from him. And so I was single for about 2 years, and then I met these people, and before I realized that my stalker was an incel, which I figured out pretty quickly, I was like, you know, I mean, what is this someone I would want to date? Like, it was in that preliminary, like, I don't know, maybe.
And can you, not to interrupt you, but can you explain what an incel is? Because I know like, I'm just like imagining my grandma, my mom listening, they're like, wait, what does this mean? What does this mean?
Yeah, so an incel is just like someone who's involuntarily celibate. And it just essentially it has morphed into its own slang term that kind of describes that loser sitting on Reddit for 23 hours a day with Cheeto dust and empty Mountain Dew cans all around them. And it just has a real stank smell that is involved with these people. Because I'm just gonna paint you an image, and like the fedora is a little crusty, and the neck beard is strong, but the facial hair is weak, and there's a bald spot in the back, and you can just see the fedora.
The neck beard is strong, but the facial hair is weak. And the fedora. Oh my god. I mean, it's a fairly apt description. But I wouldn't be talking about the way people smell, Rosie.
Covered it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Rosie tells like 10 side stories to get, yeah, I think part of it is because she does have ADHD. People that have ADHD have a tendency to tell stories this way.
Just hanging on for dear life, and he's sitting there muttering under his breath about how like Jessica Alba's ugly.
Right.
You know,
literally,
like
yeah.
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, like bottom of the barrel. That was like a really good description.
Thank you. Just like I just wanted to paint a little word picture for the people at home.
No, that's
so
perfect.
no, because trust me, I have met a mini incel, and they all.
But most
they
people
even if they aren't, they can
online-
pretend they're a lawyer, they can pretend they're a
Right.
therapist, they can pretend.
It's most people that like hate you online
Yeah.
if you're hiding behind a screen and like and you have 0 followers and it's a hidden profile. I just refer to anyone like that incel.
Exactly. Like they can cosplay that in their daytime, but that's who they are at
Right.
heart.
Is that what you're taking your time to do?
It's pathetic.
Yeah. Okay.
I could never.
Great. I love that.
Anyway,
I can see that being a TikTok clip. What is an incel? And there it is.
Please. Oh, hello. Got my headphones flying off. My goodness. The drama of it all. Okay. I very quickly realized I wanted to be with my ex, and we had a lot more in common.
And you met him online too.
I met them at this on Reddit.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, my ex, ironically, was like my biggest tipper on the Chatterbait website, but I didn't know that until a
And
while later.
Chatterbait, do you post pictures?
It's a live site basically.
So like you would stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it was interesting. I didn't make a ton of money because no one knew who I was,
But people could join.
but they
you
could
would
join
talk.
and talk and get
Tip
spicy
if you
if they tipped. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And so it's an adult like XXX streaming site
Got it. So you met the stalker on there and an
Okay.
ex-boyfriend on there.
on Reddit.
Reddit. Okay.
But Reddit's what got me on Chatterbait.
Got it. And then were they both local?
No.
Okay.
Stories are so
at the
hard to
time, I believe Stalker
follow.
was in Indiana. My ex, I ended up living with my ex for a few years. I moved to Omaha twice to be with him. I don't know how much we'll get into the ex on here.
Okay, that's
What
fine.
I will say is, had you done this interview with me 6 months ago, I would have read him for filth.
Why are we getting like an entire life story? I don't understand this. Here's the base.
But some things have transpired recently. Like actually in June, I went on a trip, and I didn't tell my followers where I went, but I went to go see him because we reconnected when I went to the mental hospital the first time this year. Again, we'll get to that.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry,
But
yeah.
So
So
he
you
and
met with
I-
them on Reddit.
Yeah, and I fell so madly in love with him, and the majority of our relationship was like monogamous and like pretty standard. And then near the end, things really changed because my stalker's a monster. He's a self-proclaimed narcissistic sociopath.
Did the Skype web rape thing, did that only happen once or was that a reoccurring thing?
That only happened once, and I
Okay.
think it's because he got so entrenched in my life he didn't need to.
But he would just like what, harass you?
Well,
and, like,
let me explain
okay.
because it's more insidious than that.
Okay.
God.
So what
she's
happened
just-
was we
let the
connected as
interviewer
friends,
ask questions.
I was like, would I date someone like him? I realized very quickly I wasn't that interested, so I kind of ran
For Rosie just to be like, let me explain, let me talk, let me just take over your podcast. This is Rosie time.
friends, and I was in that life he didn't need to.
But he would just like what, harass you?
Well,
and, like,
let me explain
okay.
because it's more insidious than that.
Okay.
So what happened was we connected as friends, and I was like, would I date someone like him? I realized very quickly I wasn't that interested, so I kind of friend zoned him. He played it cool, but basically what ended up happening was we would like video chat and stuff, and there's a program called TeamViewer that like my dad uses a lot to like do IT work and like help fix computers and
Yeah.
stuff. And so I gave him like temporary access with TeamViewer to show me stuff on his computer.
Why?
So basically it's like a viewing window. And this was when like I was like I just been getting to know him for a little bit, and he showed me that like his use of the dark web. He showed me his back-end algorithms on how he sent out text messages and links to fish women. He showed me like how he's able to clone phone numbers. And he also, and these might not all have been on one call, so my memory's really fuzzy, but these are the things that I remember. He showed me like all these different fake Facebook profiles that he used to like add fat women. At one point, this was later on, this one memory I have, because I saw one of my mutuals in the recommended, and I realized he'd shown me a profile at 2 different points, and the mutuals had grown exponentially, and that was when I realized he had used my friends list to add these other fat women. And eventually I came to realize was he was farming for photos that are less available like publicly. So he was friending these these fat women from Instagram, like finding their Facebooks of like a lot of them will have like private family Facebooks or just like more private Facebooks, and who may post photos on there they wouldn't necessarily post publicly. And he would do that to farm photos. He, again, I just want to reiterate, he's a self-proclaimed narcissistic sociopath. He said those words to me. He would treat his Facebook like a social experiment. He would post like really egregious things just to piss people off, and then tell me privately like, oh, I don't actually mean them, blah, blah, blah. Like I just basically just like rage baiting. He was obsessed with his ex. At one point, he pretended to be his ex and picked bitch fights with me through Google Chat. And I figured this out in 2021 because in 2015, when he was doing that, he like literally sent me nudes of them together, pretending to be her, like telling me to stay away from him. And I'm literally just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, boyfriend. Like, do you, boo? Like, what the fuck? And then like he sent me videos of her after getting weight loss surgery, which is one of the reasons why he hated her, because she got weight loss surgery, because she lost weight. And he had an archetype, and I'm his archetype to a T. There's a few other models that look like me in terms of archetypes, like hair color, like dark hair, dark eyes, a certain type of shape, aesthetically, good looking, whatever, not to toot my own horn, but, not ugly. And,
She's, Rosie has confidence. I will give her that. She is confident in herself.
things like that. He would tell me all the time that I sound like her. And so he would send me videos. I'm like, I don't. It's the weirdest fucking thing. But he told me, like in these video chats, that his wet dream was to induce a TBI in his ex because she's a traumatized person just like I am.
What's TBI?
Traumatic brain injury. So whether or not this is true, I don't know. But he believes that you can induce a traumatic brain injury in someone by creating such heightened states of trauma to kill them psychologically. And that was his wet dream. Based on everything I know about him, I believe he's addicted to trauma porn. And I believe he wanted to turn me into his own trauma porn factory. And he basically told me that as long as I don't block him, he'll never do these things to me. And in 2021, I blocked him. So 2021, we'll get to that in a minute. But so this was all kind of the groundworks between 2013 and 2015.
And did your boyfriend
archetype is the wrong word.
Happening?
No, because I repeated a pattern.
So you just held it all in. Wow.
So because, as I mentioned in childhood, what happened to me, I didn't tell anyone. Right. When I realized how deep in shit I was, it took a couple, like a year, maybe 2 to realize truly just how deep I was. I also experienced like Stockholm with this guy. Like I remember like telling him things
That's
like I love you.
Apparently not
like
a real
he actually,
syndrome.
Not only do I think he groomed me into feederism, I think he groomed/brainwashed me into believing I'm polyamorous. Fun fact, I'm not. I thought I was for years.
And I want you to explain to it.
This is her stalker. So her stalker was somebody known to her. And her stalker is the one that groomed her into feederism. Am I understanding that correctly?
Feederism is?
Feederism is a kink that is a part of some of the plus size spaces. It's hotly debated. There are a lot of people that are super against it. There are a lot of people that are really for it. And at its essence, at its most innocence, it's about like a sexual kink regarding feeding someone generally for the purpose of them being fat or getting fat or gaining weight. There's a big umbrella when it comes to feederism. And the thing about this guy is I think he was into what's called death feederism. And that's where I have a lot of problems. And death feederism is what it sounds like. It's feeding someone to the point of getting so fat and so big that they die. And I've never been okay with that. I never made content surrounding that. But I actually had one in real life interaction with my stalker while I was, I think, a year into my relationship. I have family in Indiana, and he knew that, and I was planning a trip to go see my family. And he basically made it clear that I didn't really have a choice about seeing him, and I just needed to make it happen. Because I know what he was capable of. And he made it clear. So I had to lie to my boyfriend, I had to lie to my family. It was the same weekend I actually met the founder of Pizza Sisters for Life randomly, and I remember talking to her about it and trying to be excited about what I was going to go do, even though I didn't want to go. I didn't want to cheat on my boyfriend. I really didn't. And like at the time, I didn't understand.
I didn't want to cheat on my boyfriend. So, what did this guy have over her? This stalker, what did this guy have over her to make her do these things?
The nuance of what the coercion was. And
coercion. I didn't know what coercion was. Coercion?
Also at the time, this was around the time where Google Glasses were supposed to be the new big thing. So I think this was in 2014. And I believe that when we met up, he recorded me on his Google Glasses without my consent. I know he stealthed me. And he coerced me into an act of feederism without me knowing what it was. So to kind of back up, when I did arrive at the hotel, I remember I got to the door and I walked in and the room was empty, and I walk in and I stop at the bathroom and I realize the light's off, and I look in and the energy, the aura of that room was so fucking dark. And I look over and I see him literally just like lurking in the corner of the bathroom with the lights off. And I'm like, I fucked up. Like so I went into like full fawn mode. I remember I was like, I'm just going to people please my way through this. Like, You know, I don't know if I thought about it in that terms, but that's just kind of where my brain went. So I was just like, I don't know, I felt like I was just putting on a performance. And at one point he left to go get lunch, and when he came back, I grabbed my food to start to eat, and that's when he jumped me. And I said, what are you doing? Because I'm just trying to eat my food. And he goes, do you know what feederism is? And I said, no. And that's when he continued to do what he was doing and explain what it was, to create that psychological tie. So I didn't know what to do. And so, you know, the act finished. And
So did you guys have sex?
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like date rape is just, it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard because like in 2020, like I was raped and it was a very different experience.
Right.
But
Well, I don't think there's a clear-cut definition.
Because I was trying so hard to convince myself that I wanted to be there.
Well, I think too, when you're trying, it's like fight or flight. When you're trying to get through something, you do what you got to do.
I love my ex with like all my heart. And I hated myself so much for what had happened for so long. It took me, and at this point, he knows the ins and outs of the story, and he has a lot of compassion for me, even though like in the way that we ended up breaking up in 2021, like it was really rough because it had a lot to do with the stalker situation. And, you know, had I just fucking told him before that I met that man, my life could have been very different. But
you can't think that way.
Yeah,
you really just can't.
It's just like, you know, that act for me with regards to feederism, I actually kind of had a no response after that event for many years. And then me and my ex broke up for the first time in 2019.
But like that's when you learned about like that term, and like that's what your stalker was into.
Yeah, I mean, I think my stalker was into some really fucked up stuff. Like,
so here's my question, and she might get to it. If her ex-boyfriend wasn't into Fifi stuff, but this stalker was, but she wasn't in a relationship with this stalker, how was she groomed into this? I don't understand this. And I'm not going to blame her for anything that happened during this, but part of me wonders, given how Rosie tells stories about her past and how she has a tendency to put herself as the victim in all of these situations of everything, even like with the medically kidnapped type situation. What if, and this is a big if, what if she was having an affair with this guy, basically, and cheating on her boyfriend, and the only way that she could get out of it with her boyfriend is to say that it was grape and these things. And it's just this is a very weird situation. It's a very weird situation.
For sure.
I think he was into death feederism. I mean,
so like, what did he want you to do? Just keep eating? Like, would he basically instruct you like what to eat or how much to eat?
Well, I can get more of that with the clients because for him, it was more just like a baby step, and it was more just like he essentially gave me something to eat and then like started like, you know, fingering me. Okay. You know, like I don't think it's too detailed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, I'm just confused. Partly because of the way that Rosie tells stories. It could be because I have her sped up. Lizzie comes back in and says, I did not need to hear that. Yeah. Yeah. I agree, Lizzie. I agree.
You know, like and
So
so
it's more of like the act of like eating and then doing something
yeah,
sexual.
at least in that instance, right?
Okay.
But like for a lot of like the content and stuff that I did, so I got back into the adult spaces in like 2019. So from 2019 till the end of 2021, I did like amateur, like more underground adult work because I really needed the money. My ex and I broke up, and I moved back to Georgia, and that was when a friend told me about a website that's basically like a social media website for feeders and plus size people. you don't have to be a feeder or a feedie to be on it, which a feedie is the person that the feeder feeds. And initially,
Lizzie, I was reading and then, I had to check back in. Chose the wrong time, apparently. Yes, you did. Here is the base of our sugar plum blossom.
I got into it to start trying to make money. And then between, trying to educate myself, the content, I was still in talks with the stalker. And like, he would condition me by like sending really like salacious pictures of food too. Like, this is what's so fucking weird about the story is like, he would do like weird shit. And for so many years, I didn't fully understand it. Like, he would condition me into like reinforcing that like he loved me and that we had a connection and that I can have that with my boyfriend too. And that's like what polyamory is. But I never actually loved him. I was afraid of him.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was afraid of him. I was afraid of what he could do to me. Because, I mean, in 2021, he did clone my phone number. I was deleting all the texts that he was sending, and one day my finger slipped. He cloned my phone number. He got into my phone. He told me about, like, in 2014, how he would listen to these girls' phone calls, and he would flip his mic on for just a few seconds to, like, freak him out, and then turn it off again. He did that to me. And he did it while I was driving by the hotel by my house that I lived in at the time. And I eventually was able to confirm on Snapchat his location was still out in, I won't say where, but out in a state in the middle of nowhere. And so I was like, okay, so I think he's not actually here. At one point, like, I was scared of that. What's this fucker do? He got in through my camera. He recorded me through my camera for about 18, 20 minutes, and it dropped in my iCloud before I guess he couldn't delete it. And that's what landed me trying to go to the hospital for the second time in
Salacious photos of food, like aesthetic or to make you hungry. I'm thinking it might be like the crumble cookie video. I don't know.
Omaha. Because while I was in Omaha, I tried to go to the hospital 3 times because I fractured my metatarsal. So to kind of back that up a little bit,
oh my God.
It was like early 2021. I removed him from my Facebook because I was sick of him. Like, it was my first Valentine's Day with my boyfriend after we got back together, and he sent me this message saying Happy Valentine's Day. I think like love you or just like a heart emoji or something. I don't remember exactly, but I know it said Happy Valentine's Day. And when me and my ex had broken up, it was like the Valentine's Day was kind of the final straw of a bullshit list of problems, and he knew that. And so he sent me a Happy Valentine's Day because that's kind of what he would do. Is it had gotten to the point where I made myself boring enough that he kind of left me alone for the most part. But he would just like randomly poke and prod me. Like, he would send me like pictures of like nacho cheese fountains with like a bunch of like crazy amounts of food and stuff and just like things like that. He would send me like a message like that. It was in binary code, so I had like in zeros and ones, so I had to like decode it basically. And I just was like, I'm so sick of you.
You didn't have to. You didn't have to do that.
Disgust me. I'm so done with this. And so I finally got the balls to block him because he would do things like when he was my Facebook friend, one time he interacted with my dad, and I have a boyfriend, and I was like, hey, it makes me really uncomfortable that you're talking to my dad. Can you please like stop? And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Next day, he's like inciting full-on conversations with my dad publicly on my Facebook page. So, by that point,
this story is so hard to follow. She is not a very good storyteller because she takes so many tangents. It's so hard to keep things straight of when things happened and just who's doing what. Part of it could be that I have her sped up, but
I was just so sick of his existence and my life, and knowing he had access to pictures of my nieces and nephew and like all of that. It just,
so now he's like talking to her dad also or something.
I was just done with him. And so he ended up stalking me for about 3 months through his current partner, because he's got like 7 or 8 kids with like, I don't know, 4 or 5 women, unless he's had more, which wouldn't surprise me because he's the type that likes to, I think he should spread his seed. That's another incel thing. And he
doesn't sound like he's involuntarily celibate though.
He's just a monster, man. And I got a little lost in the point of where I'm at. Yeah, so I blocked him, and then that's when he was watching my stories. So he waited until my foot was fractured. I posted a story the day my foot, I fractured my metatarsal going down a step. It was very dramatic. The next day, my cash
I'm sure it was so dramatic.
app was hacked. He did 6 penny charges. And he did that because in 2014, so he did that to me in 2021. In about 2014, he explained to me how doing those penny charges was like he would do one for your most that was tied to your most recent purchase. So for me, he did Panda Cafe because my most recent purchase had been a meal at Panda Express a few days prior. He did one as a perfume shop because it's supposed to be some psychological thing about making a woman like a fat woman feel insecure for smelling bad. Two were to be significant locations. So one was Indianapolis. I think the other was maybe Georgia and or Texas, like where he's originally from. And one was like a standard bank, and like basically he explained how like when you do it this way, the feds won't like be able to track you or whatever, and it's purely meant to be a psychological attack. That's all it's meant to be. It's not meant to actually take money from them, to not get in legal. It's meant to evade legal trouble. And so, the exact order of how all of these things transpired, I do get a little fuzzy because I mean at this point I was experiencing extreme like psychosis because back in 2020, when I was sexually assaulted by an unrelated party, I was basically medically kidnapped. I didn't have insurance.
No, you weren't.
I called 911 on myself after one of my supposed friends told me to go kill myself 3 days after I'd been raped because apparently I needed to hear his side of the story and I was overreacting.
Oh my God. See, this is what makes me question everything she says now. Because we heard the medical kidnapping story, and she wasn't medically kidnapped. It just makes me question everything she says now with all of her stories about what actually happened, or if it's her just trying to rewrite the narrative after the fact. I just.
Because don't we just love rape apologists? And so I had like a 72-hour kind of mental breakdown, and I realized that I was really unsafe. And so I went to the hospital and they sedated me. They fully sedated me. Then they walked in while I was sedated. And what I remember is the guy being like blurry and like fuzzy and like wavy looking, holding out a piece of paper, and he's explaining it to me and it's not making any sense to me at all. And I go, I don't understand. And based what I remember from him saying was just like, if you sign this, if you don't sign this, the state won't pay for it. So I signed it. And what I signed was an involuntary hold, which they call a 1013 in Georgia, I believe. So the ER held me for 2.5 days. And instead of holding me for 12 more hours, which whether or not.
We've already covered this whole thing, but that's what an involuntary hold is for. You were deemed to be a danger to yourself, so they held you because you called them to go to the hospital because you felt like you were a danger to yourself. The doctor agreed, and they have to hold you. And then they either let you go or they put you into an inpatient facility for however long you need to be. You weren't medically kidnapped. You were put in an involuntary hold because you were deemed to be a danger to yourself. You fell asleep after eating your lunch, Taylor?
They actually are allowed to do that, I don't even know. But they transferred me to a facility called
Because it's an involuntary hold because you were deemed to be a danger. That's how.
Anchor College in College Park, Georgia. This place, I don't know how they're allowed to be open. I witnessed them beat elderly patients. I experienced a lot of trauma there.
You did not witness them doing that. You heard a dementia patient in the next room over telling them, "Don't hit me," and you thought you heard people hitting somebody. However, dementia patients can get very violent. It's very possible that she was the one doing the hitting and that she was just reacting. Because people with dementia sometimes don't know what they're saying or doing.
Gone as far as to say I feel like my stay there, truly, not to like compare traumas, but it was like more traumatic than my rape. Like the experience I had there was insane.
And that is a slap in the face to all rape victims, saying right there that you feel like staying in that mental hospital and not being given enough pillows And not being able to have snacky snacks was worse than grape. Jeez. Yeah, Taylor, she loves using the most extreme language she can. She's so hyperbolic. It's the worst thing ever. Everything is the worst thing ever. No wonder she and Amber are such good friends.
They denied me water for the first 14 hours I was there. I was told I would get a hospital bed when I arrived. They didn't have any in the facility because of my weight. Like I can't sleep on those cots safely. So then I was promised that we'll get you extra pillows so you can at least like be elevated to be able to breathe. That didn't happen. When I asked the nurse, the staff, whatever, when she came into the room the first time, I asked about my extra pillows. She laughed in my face and said, "You're lucky to have one," and closed the door in my face. So I had to sleep like this. Let me show you. For 3 days on my stomach to be able to breathe. And I actually have like permanent hand pain from it. I have permanent side pain from the lacking of medical care and equipment. I mean,
no, you do not. You do not. She's told, again, we've already covered this. That's what a Cobb salad has in it. A Cobb salad has bacon bits in it. She has said before, we've heard two different stories. We've heard the hand pain from whenever she was a child, sleeping with her hands curled up under her. That's why she has wrist pain. But now she has wrist pain from sleeping like this because she couldn't sleep any other way. And it's permanent side damage. It's like what the fuck would that be? No, I'm just gonna say no.
the state paid for my trauma. Woo. I'm sure Georgia would love to know that they paid a facility to traumatize and mistreat me. They interviewed me naked for the psychological review in the morning because they refused to do my clothes at night. I only had one pair of clothes.
Because they have set times that they do laundry. You're not at a fucking resort where maids and servants and cooks will wait on you hand and foot and do your bidding. You arrived in the middle of the night or late at night, and it's like, yeah, we do laundry in the morning. We'll wash your clothes in the morning. And we're not going to do a special load. Maybe housekeeping wasn't even there. We're not going to do a special load in the middle of the night because we have set times that we do these things. You're not going to get special treatment, Rosie.
With me. They didn't take care of the patients. There was a pregnant girl there and she was having food aversions and they would not accommodate her. I had to basically like profile the staff. Like I remember while I was in there, I was like, walking around trying to be like, oh, hey, which one of you actually gives a fuck about the people in this room? And the answer was not many. And so thankfully there was a nurse that cared and I was able to get her like extra cereal and stuff. But basically after the first day, when I had signed the little paper, I said I wanted to talk to someone. No one came for me. And so the next morning I did the same thing. And then I walked up to the behavioral health counselor that was running the morning meetings. And she was sitting at like the front desk and she was looking down working at a binder. And I said, hey, so I checked here on the piece of paper. I just want to make sure someone will come talk to me today. Without looking up, she looks right at, without looking up, she keeps looking at what she's doing and she just goes, we don't do that here. And I remember I went, excuse me? What? Because I thought I was delusional. I was like, what? And she repeats herself without missing a beat. We don't do that here. Then why the fuck was I there?
Right.
What? So like for my followers that have like followed my journey for a long time, they know a lot about that story. Like there was an incident where in the middle of the night I woke up because in the room next to me.
And we know how suspect it is. Why are we just rehashing all of this on this podcast? What why is she on this podcast? What was supposed to be the purpose of this interview? Was it supposed to be Rosie's life story? Or was it supposed to be about feederism? I don't know what the purpose of this interview was supposed to be. Because the description focuses on feederism. Ruby Rose actually seems to be a little out of touch. Oh yeah. Lizzie, why is she trauma dumping on she is, yeah, and I want to see if there are new comments on here. Well, that's stupid. Um, uh, oh, hey, this was a bot person that popped into my chat. This Chucky PBE that I had to block. Little trauma dumpling. Trash can says, y'all should do some research into Rosie now. She's nuts. Wow, that POS monster. He put this poor woman through so much. That explains why she's traumatized and why she found comfort in food. Hopefully she can get professional help. Um, do they mean the person when she was a child? Self-determined autistic. Jesus Christ. I just saw a comedy bit on that too. This person says no. I know so many things she said and no one's talking about them. The accountability avoidance is mofo. This person says always the victim. This one says groomed, sure. This person said she's extremely dishonest.
Me, she was a very mean elderly woman, like, but that she still should be treated like a fucking human being. She was not nice to me, but I heard them beat her, like, to try to like get her to call. I heard them hitting her, and she had a roommate too.
You don't know
when
what
I
you
walked
were
out in the
hearing.
lobby, who was just like rocking back and forth reading her Bible, and I was able to manipulate the staff into letting me call my mom because my mom at the time was living in Norway with my dad, so it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, so it was like a normal time for them. So I was able to call her and talk to her, and I was just like, I was in prison for 3 days. Like, I was in this facility. They didn't.
You were not in prison for 3 days. Stop comparing things that you've gone through to things that people have actually gone through that are so much worse and are actually awful. Did you have turkey, Rob? Did you have steakums? Stop comparing being in a mental health facility that you went to because you were having self-harm thoughts to being in prison. Stop comparing apples and tomatoes. It was tomatoes and oranges. Yeah, it was tomatoes and oranges. I'm such an idiot sometimes. Yeah. Oh God. It's tomatoes and oranges. Oh God. Fuck me, Mars. Yeah, it's tomatoes and oranges. That's what it is. It's like, oh, I felt like this was like grape. Girl, you have actually been graped according to you. So don't use it lightly with other things. That's not okay. But after hearing her story with the whole medical kidnapping, it just makes me question everything now.
Transform the medications that they gave me in the ER over. So I actually, that first night as well, I experienced med-induced psychosis for the first time. And you know how I mentioned the psychosis in 2021? I'm now more susceptible to experiencing psychosis because of the medical malpractice that Anchor, as well as the ER up in North Georgia, did to me. They failed me every step of the fucking way, and I am permanently damaged from it for the rest of my life. Like, I have issues.
You're just permanently damaged because you're just a damaged person. It's all it's all due to yourself. She has to find somebody else to blame. Now, I'm not 100% certain what this medical psychosis she's talking about was, but no.
issues with my grip strength. And I also had like a rough life for the next couple of years because I was so traumatized from everything that happened within the first 2 weeks of January. I ended up living, like, one of my family friends was so gracious as to let me live in their camper in their front yard for 7 months when I could like barely function, let alone work. But I mean, I'm this size and I was living in a camper. That was hard. Like, my knees permanently hurt from the position I had to sleep in. And I always want to make sure I give them credit. I don't think it's, I think what they did for me was so gracious and kind, and I'm so appreciative because it would have been much worse if I didn't have a roof and a toilet and a shower and electricity to have, and I had to clean it like every single day because the way the camper worked with the way more water and moisture could get in, it would get moldy within like 48 hours if you weren't like constantly wiping down the water and everything that would accumulate.
Don't give a fuck.
It was a really hard time because that was during COVID. So I reported this abuse 2 weeks later. COVID happened because I didn't report it right away. For the assault, and I was told that basically due to COVID they weren't going to continue proceeding. And it's crazy because like I have written proof that this person didn't have consent for how he raped me, and it's still being treated like he said she said. And then back in May of this year, he posted revenge porn of me on one of the Chan sites.
This is a stalker again.
No, this is another person.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Oh my God,
He's a different man.
Okay.
Because like I mentioned, I was.
Why? Sounds like she was having a bad come down off the sedation the ER gave her. Could be. Yeah, So now we're talking about the guy that raped her. The host is confused too.
Going to continue proceeding. And it's crazy because like I have written proof that this person didn't have consent for how he raped me, and it's still.
Say that again. I have written proof that this person didn't have consent for how they raped you. Is that what you just said?
Going to continue proceeding. And it's crazy because like I have written proof that this person didn't have consent for how he raped me, and it.
That doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand that. Can can somebody can somebody explain that to me? I have written proof that this person didn't have consent for how he raped me. And it's still being treated like he said, she said. Maybe she got the guy to confess? Maybe? Maybe it was a scene negotiation that she didn't agree to? I Oh, and she was groomed into polyamory. She was groomed into Fifiism. She was groomed into polyamory. She was medically kidnapped. She must be the stupidest, most naive person in the entire world. I think she's wording it weird. I'm thinking he texted her that he knows he did something to her that wasn't consensual. Mars, that's what I was thinking. Could be, could be. Maybe that's what she means. I know, she's just like Amber Lynn in that respect. Things just happen to her.
It's still being treated like he said, she said. And then back in May of this year, he posted revenge porn of me on one of the Chan sites.
This is the stalker again.
No, this is another person.
So, revenge corn, not cool. Yeah, maybe they were being intimate and he went further than she was consenting to. Because if I'm remembering correctly from the story we watched last night, she was on a camping trip with a couple. So maybe that's part of the polyamory thing too. I have to speed her ass up.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the person who assaulted me in 2020 is a different man.
Okay.
Because like I mentioned, I was completely just like, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. I guess I was also groomed into polyamory and in a way of like thinking I was polyamorous and wanting to explore it. And so when I moved back to Georgia, I would go to these like BBW like poly parties, like sex parties and stuff. It was a wild time. And
You weren't groomed into polyamory. You just wanted to try it out. My God, grooming is a very real thing that happens to people. She just co-ops all of these things, all of these words that have actual meanings to people that aren't positive. She just co-ops all of these words and terms and tries to shoehorn them into things that have happened to her in her life.
I learned a lot, but
Were people actually having sex there? Just like out in the open? Like big orgies? Yeah. Okay.
it depended on the party. Some were a lot more lit than others.
Wow. How many of those did you go to?
A lot.
Did you enjoy them at the time?
At time, I don't.
Some were a lot more lit than others. Yeah, oh, did you enjoy them?
I don't know. I feel like I was doing anything to feel alive.
Yeah, like it was just part of
It was
your
just,
journey.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like at the time, yeah. But
Okay.
looking back,
You wouldn't do it again?
oh, no.
No. Okay.
Because what ended up happening is I kind of realized, at least for one of the party sectors, like there were some private parties that were awesome and fun and great and cute, but there was a certain sector where I found out near the end, around the time I left, that they were like posting their home address on like FetLife, which is like a fetish social media website, like the house where the kids live. Come on.
Right.
And when I found out that they were using, this is so gross, when I found out that they were using their kids' beds to help, be a part of the party and like cleaning out the rooms to make it not look like kids' rooms, I was like, that's fucking disgusting. And it was all about the money for them. Like they were charging single men like $60 and women were basically getting in for free. And what I realized later on is like it was officially like $15, but if a woman paired with a man, it only cost like $30 to get in. And
So
they
people
do
would go into these parties and just like
expect sex, yeah.
Okay.
And like there was multiple times where like I was definitely assaulted, like but in the scheme of my life, like and things that I've actually experienced and like experiencing like full on rape and stuff and everything, it's just like, oh, which isn't healthy, nor it's
Right.
not healthy at all. But that's the truth. And once I kind of realized that those parties were kind of set up to be, I don't know. I've had people be like, that sounds like sex trafficking, and I'm like, I don't know if it's that level or not. Like I'm not an expert, but it was very like
Yeah.
if you like, it was pretty much.
But if Rosie could claim saying that she was sex trafficked, she sure as fuck would.
Much advised, like when the women were talking, they'd be like, yeah, I wouldn't go to those parties if I didn't have my husband, or I wouldn't be at these parties if I didn't have this man I trust to protect me, because like I would go alone and I had some fucked up stuff happen to me.
Right.
But I also am pretty good at like holding myself down. And there was this one guy at one of the parties that came, and he was like literally like waiting in the wings for people to finish what they were doing, and then he would literally like jump the woman and like this is really gross, because he just like wanted to get like a taste of her, and then he
Oh
would like
my
leave.
God.
And he did that to me and like 8 other women before he got kicked out. 8. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and there's a lot of stuff like that. There was like just there's very much a culture of like protecting the men and stuff. And so when I spoke out about what happened to me, I was ostracized for it because I was very vocal, and I was really angry at how some like the forerunners of those communities were so dismissive of me. And it's not good for business. That's what it boils down to. And looking back, it's like I can understand why I made those decisions and why I thought that was a good thing at the time. I just wish I had been able to make different decisions. But the thing is I know I would have never gone down that path had I.
Lizzie, this host is my kind of girl, is silent and just absorbing other people's nonsense. I mean, she's probably just trying to follow along. I mean, granted, Rosie is speaking slower. I have her sped up, but it's just like,
Not been groomed into polyamory by my stalker. Like feederism too, but like I feel like the polyamory was a big part of it. Like it fed into my like unwillingness to like want to commit to other people besides my ex at the time. And I basically told him like if we got back together, like I didn't want to be monogamous. And ultimately, now I know, I think that was a sign that I probably necessarily didn't fully want to be back with him unless there were certain changes that I just don't know he's able to make. From where I stand currently, I care about him a lot. He was there for me so much. Like, so back on the gang stalking topic, because I didn't really kind of glazed over that with the r/fat people hate.
oh
They
my
posted
God.
me like one time I was posted 7 times on the top 25 of the week for that subreddit. So like pretty much every time I posted, there were people posting, making fun of me. People photoshopped me like selfies, and they would photoshop like a cheeseburger into the selfie. Or they, one of the ones that really fucked me up was they took a picture of me standing in a purple dress, like I was standing outside of a Subway holding my sandwich, and they photoshopped all the excess fat off my body, so I looked like this janky like humanoid version of myself. And they were like, and in a separate JPEG, they literally like just put a pile of all my like extra fat. And
So basically, you experienced real life bullying growing up and then online bullying. So my other question that I have for you is, I know that you said growing up in your whole life, basically, like weight was always.
Taylor says, the host is trying to keep up, yeah. And then Taylor says, Rosie is so dramatic. I can see how she could be dismissed by other people if something serious did happen, like the boy who cried wolf. Yeah, absolutely. She seems to do that a lot.
Something that you dealt with. But with the feederism, like as far as that goes, do you think that that stalker kind of like planting that seed in your head, do you think that that played a role in like did it cause you to like eat more, or like did it have any effect like that, or was that
that's
kind
a
of
great question. It's hard for me to correlate with that because my eating disorder is so complicated and nuanced. Because I mean, I think I felt like when I really launched into feederism in 2019, he was less involved in my life at the time, but if I remember correctly, like I think he was like really excited about it, obviously, because like under feederism, there's a lot of sub kinks.
So correct me if I'm wrong, and I might like I can't remember if this is what you said, but after he planted that seed and like you learned what that term meant, did you kind of on your own dive into that kink?
Not right away.
Okay, but that was something eventually that like you kind of catered to for other people that were into
Yes.
that. Okay,
And then it became personal eventually. Like it
Okay.
became way more than I ever would have wanted it to be.
and when you would feed into that kink, was that online? Was that like on the Chatterbait thing?
No, so Chatterbait was a brief stint.
Okay.
Right. So 2019, I joined a website called Phoebe.
Okay,
It's kind of like Fight Club. Like we don't talk about Phoebe is like kind of how they operate. I'm no longer on there, so fuck it. I don't give a shit.
Right.
But they're a website that caters specifically to feeders. And I made a profile on there initially. I started getting attention because of like specifically my shape gets me a lot of attention in that sphere. Like my body shape and the way I carry my weight. And it started out with just like, I basically did everything like outside of OnlyFans. Like I had a Google Drive and I would just sell by word of mouth. And I priced my modeling based on like being, the way I would explain it to people is like, I priced it as like if I were a high-end escort in the sense of I charge more because I'm harder to find. You can only get this through me. I'm not on Clips for Sale. I'm not on OnlyFans. I'm not on any subscription service. I'm not affiliated with anyone. And it worked. And like, and because I was only working with people who would pay me those prices, so I was treated with more respect. And I also did it as a safeguard because I had my nudes leaked in like 2013 during the Chatterbait phase and the gang stalking and all that. Like, because my stalker was posting on the Reddits and stuff and on 4chan and 8chan and LOL Cow, so many sites. And that's why, like, I think I was posted everywhere. And other people were talking about me too, obviously. But he really led the charge.
okay.
And I know this for a fact because my ex found this post and was like, hey, what's up with this? And I think it was on one of the Chan sites. I don't have proof of it now, but my ex could attest to this. Someone wrote a post about, yeah, I had sex with her once, blah, 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 and then saying something about how I smelled bad. And I knew it was him because one of the things that he had done when we met in person is he forced me to not shower first. And he claimed it was for kink reasons. And I didn't want to do that either. But again, this man scared me. I ended up doing something like the way I got out from under him. So like, you know, he back in 2021 when he did all that stuff. Like, and I'm sorry if this isn't linear. The story is really hard to tell. It's over many years and there's many moving parts. Like, but near the end when my foot was broken and I had called the police and I tried the FBI again to no avail. Like, I have proof that this man stalks hundreds and hundreds of fat women. I'm a firsthand witness to it, and they just don't care. And that he's probably out there doing this shit to other people right now. But see, the thing with me was I got him to trust me. That was one of the reasons why I think I spared Stockholm a little bit is I manipulated him into falling in love with me. Once I realized, as much as a narcissist sociopath can, I manipulated him into trusting me. Like I got his full legal name at one point and I got as much information about him as I could. And then I made him care about me, and then I became incredibly boring. And that's how I got a few years of reprieve before everything blew up. And he, you know, with all those things that he did, like cloning my phone number, he was like trying to get into my Instagram. And thankfully, like I had two-factor authentication. Thankfully, I know what I'm doing, and like I'm educated on like tech sides of things and all of that.
Are you?
And
Like, how did that officially stop with him?
yeah, I eventually basically went to him and said, hey, because it's a long story. Let me try to summarize it. Me and this girl named Erica were a part of the same body positivity sphere. Her mom dated his half brother. He was so abusive, his half brother, my stalker's half brother, that she's like permanently disabled and disfigured. I'll leave it at that. It's not my story to tell, but she is permanently like unable to work and has a lot of health complications because of what he did to her. They share the same dad. She paid for a background check because we kind of, this all came together with me because I had one conversation with him in 2014 and then a conversation with her in like 2021. And I was able to piece this all together, and we figured that out and was like, what the fuck? This is the most random mindfuck. And then she paid for his background check, and I was able to get his address. I was able to get all this information about him. And then, and I got it because of her. So I sent him this long message on this fake Facebook profile. This fake Facebook profile is the main one he showed me over TeamViewer. I think it was like Liam something. And he hadn't changed it. Like all the posts and dates and all of that were all still from 2013, 2014. Because he had sat there on TeamViewer and like explained to me why this post was like this to help make it seem more real, blah, blah, blah. So I messaged that, and I was just basically like, hey, I know this is full name. I know you're with blah, blah, blah. I know you're at this address. And I was like, if you don't leave me the fuck alone, I'm going to ruin your life. And hey, if I'm crazy and I'm wrong and this is really some white dude named Liam, go ahead and message me proof and I'll apologize. But if you don't, I'm going to assume I'm right. He left me on red, never responded. And it's been crickets ever since.
And how long ago was that? In 21, you said?
Yeah. It was about, I would say roughly June.
Okay.
Like, you know, summertime 2021.
And you just haven't had any more issues?
Because I will ruin him.
Yeah.
I will. He knows, I know who he lives with. I know the situation with his kids.
All I have just did what he did to you, back to him. Yeah. And then as far as everything else goes, are you still involved with those other websites, or how did you get like, where'd you go with that? Okay.
So some white dude named Liam. All right. Maybe this was a stalking situation. I don't know. It sounds like a bad online dating experience.
So I did that for a while. It's really hard for me to talk about how I left feederism without bringing up two people I don't want to talk about. Okay. So,
and just to kind of circle back to that, just so I have an understanding, when you were doing that fetish on your own, was that, and like you were catering to other people that had that fetish?
Yes.
So basically, like how did that operate? Like,
yeah. So basically, I mean, for example, one weekend, some guy gave me $600 to have, and the only stipulation is he wanted me to spend it on food. They would pay for content regarding, like, basically, I would just do salacious mukbangs, but you know, the kind of what you wouldn't put on YouTube. I never posted any of that content on mainstream platforms, even if it would have technically been safe for work, because I do have a lot of issues.
Like the chocolate cake incident. Don't know how the host kept up with her whole story. Well, she's been confused a couple of times too.
Issues with the mukbang industry, and like specifically, it's a very like.
She's also speaking a lot slower in person there. I have her at 1.5 speed.
Touch and go, because there are some that are genuinely innocent and provide like a certain level of entertainment that's not sexualized, but then you've got people like Nikocado Avocado, you know, very clearly catering to the fetishists. I could write I could perform a 2-hour video essay on what the fuck Nicocado's doing, but you know, and it's for the money, and it's just, I find a lot of frustration. It's like, if you're gonna do that, keep it to the adult platforms. Like, kids watch this shit, and it's normalizing. There's certain things that are normalized in that style of content that is not healthy or good. And then even like mukbangs with people who are maybe straight sized, or, you know, they're not overweight. There's just the way that you go about it, how you do it.
And there's some weird ones.
There are some weird ones. And it's like, but also the act of a fat person eating on camera is not a mukbang, is not feeder content. Like, and I'm very vocal about that. Like, when I do eat on camera, I edit around in certain ways, and there are certain things I try to avoid because I know what the feeders want.
No, you don't. You do not. When you do your live streams, you are feeding into that, no pun intended, but look at her, look at the camera. I know what they want. I know what they want. As she looks into the camera.
And I want to also be a lifestyle person. I want to cook and eat on camera. You know, I don't want to feel like I can't do that just because I'm an ex-fetus model. You know, I don't want to feel like I have to be performative in that way. I struggle with that a lot, but because like I'm also just one person and not an expert, and I don't want to yuck anybody's yums in terms of entertainment. But like if you're like currently a fetus model and you're out there trying to make a mukbang channel, it's like just because like you're wearing clothes and you're toning it down a little bit doesn't mean you're still not making feeder content. You're just making it on a platform that's accessible to children, and it bugs the shit out of me. Like,
Hot kettle black, Rosie? The way she's switching top, yeah.
it really does. It bothers me like on a very deep level. And so near the end of 2022, while living in Florida, I connected with someone over Instagram with the intention of being friends. I'm gonna call this person A. We never ended up getting super close. I actually got close to person B. I thought it was like a genuine friendship thing, but it became very clear near the end that I was being used, and they were pretending to be my friend because they wanted me to be a model in a fetus remake of, you know, the cake scene from Matilda.
Mm-hmm.
I played Belinda, you know, instead of Brucey, Belinda. And I collaborated with person B on OF. Basically, we had a falling out that was trivial. It wasn't that, it was just like a private, like,
I wonder if this is Rain.
Where I had some pent up frustration and I felt like they had not been good friends to me the way I had been. And it devolved into some really horrendous drama. Basically, there was just a bunch of back and forth, and they attacked me because it's important to mention these things, because they went on the record saying that I was lying about my disabilities, which is one of the most fucked.
She's talking about Rain. Because you were lying about your disabilities.
Up things that's ever happened to me, like on the internet space, and I was so.
She posted a picture with a cane, being like, "Oh, I have to use this cane." It was Rain's cane that she was posing with for the picture. It wasn't her cane.
Angry and hurt by it, and like it was because these were not just internet friends. These were in real life friends that lived, like, one of them lived like 10 minutes from me. I hung out with them a lot. Like, I had developed a relationship with one of their kids, and it was just this whole scenario that.
She's talking about Rain, and she shouldn't be bringing up Rain's kid.
Got way out of proportion to the point that, you know, I had to basically, to the credit of person B, they went ahead and removed the content that I had to campaign hard for them to get taken down. Person A refused, like, because it was throughout this whole process of like realizing that like the feederism was really traumatic for me, that like it was keeping me in like trauma loops, and it was really not in my best.
She has a YouTube channel called Planet with a Palette. And she does OF content.
Interest, and it was hurting me, and at the time I was unaware I was undiagnosed diabetic, and so I was using a cane because I was struggling to walk because of the dizziness that was coming.
You weren't using a cane to walk
From the untreated diabetes. I also have a knee injury that got worse because of person B's like couch getting up and down. Is that their fault? Not necessarily. Like, I was choosing to be there and all of that.
She is just putting everything in this interview, and half of it's not true.
You know, but like they knew that, and like they lied and said I never used their, like, this whole thing started because the Daily Mail wrote an article about me and I used their cane instead of mine in the picture, which I used their cane often at their home because of my hurt knee, and they flat out lied and said like I never use it and all this stuff when like I was literally using it more than they were, things like that. It was very catty, weird. And
do you have a cane? I don't think we've seen a cane in her home. She still has untreated diabetes, and
these people basically in this whole experience, then you realizing that the feederism was hurting you. That is kind of what made you step out of it.
Yeah, it's been a long fucking journey for me, and I haven't even covered everything. You know, it's just, there's been so much that's happened, and
so like where do you stand now? Because I know that you said you have your YouTube platform and things like that. So as far as now, like what do you use your platforms for?
Yeah, so I currently go by Quirky Love Rose, and I
explain that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit, just because when I made that username the first time I ever downloaded Instagram, and that was before the hate forums. They would all call me Quirky, and for a long time it just ruined the word quirky for me. I recently reclaimed it. Like, I changed it back like a few months ago now, I want to say. But it just, I kind of came up with it on the spot because, you know, I am quirky, and if you want to cringe at that, cringe away, because I just think that you know, I'm a little odd, I'm silly, and I like to be goofy and have fun. And
You are odd, for sure.
I wanted to build a platform, you know, around loving myself. So Quirky Love Rose just really fit for me, and it's a bit of a longer username. Now, a lot of people call me Quirky Love Rosie, because I didn't realize with the two E's that actually makes sense. I intended it just to be Rose, but I think at the time Quirky Love Rose was taken, so I added an extra E if I remember right.
And is that on YouTube also?
Yes, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I'm trying to get to 1,000 on TikTok, so if y'all want to follow me on TikTok, that'd be cool. But yeah,
as far as like YouTube, so like what do you post on there? Is it more like...
Yeah, so it's been like vlogs, like, and actually I've been documenting my mental health journey a lot. So like talking about going to the hospital. In fact, like I posted a video like announcing when I was going to the hospital. I recently...
Well, you know, Rob, the reason for the bad knee is obviously her friend's couch.
Post a bit of an update. I have been taking a little bit of a breather post my second hospital stay, just because I've been sleeping a lot and focusing on like kind of figuring out what my next moves are. I really want to make just like vlogs, like, you know, I'm making a vlog today about like doing things like this, and I want to make content. Like I do sometimes cooking videos, I do like hangout lives. Yeah, I want to find a niche. I'm just not sure what that niche is yet for me. I think that...
And something that like you enjoy, not that somebody else, I feel like, planted in your head or made you, you know, and I think that can be challenging, because it seems like your whole life basically has been kind of, what's the word I'm looking for now? Like, not inspired, that is not the right word, but like influenced. You know, like I feel like your whole life has been influenced by what other people are into, or like what has happened to you. And I feel like you haven't had the chance to just find yourself and like live for you and who you are, which is important.
Yeah, and like I do have some accountability in that, you know.
Well, I was going to say too, like, and that's what we were talking about earlier when I asked if you enjoyed those parties at the time. There's always going to be things in life that at a point in your life, you might have enjoyed it, and then looking back, you might even regret it, which is fine. Or you might be like, well, at that point in my life, yeah, I liked it, but now I don't.
Because it's like insane.
Journey,
right, it's insane that I have a story about how I accidentally ended up in a gangbang. Like, you know what I mean? Like I lived through some insane things. Like I've done some insane things, and
Oh my God. How I accidentally ended up in a gang. Oh my God. Like I ended up accidentally in a threesome with your ex-boyfriend's sister and her boyfriend. Yeah, it's weird she doesn't have a cane now. All the girls in this community they are, Rob.
I can't believe I survived, and that I'm here to tell the tale for. And it's like one of those situations where, you know, you would think like my situation that happened like when I was raped in 2020 was related to that, because well, the crazy part was I was like in the midst of trying to leave. Like I was really over it. I was like, the scene was getting really weird. Like a bunch of new people were coming in that were kind of fucking everything up for everybody. And I was just like realizing how vapid and empty it all was, like the meaningless sex. Like now I'm single by choice. I'm single by choice, and I don't really take the time to worry about dating right now. Like, and I'm also just like, because I had my wild 6 months, like I have no interest in casual sex and like living in Florida and like not wanting to have a child and stuff. Like I'm really worried about that. So, you know, I live such a quiet life now, but you know, yeah. Like, and that's the thing is, maybe I don't know if I've touched on this enough in this podcast, but I've held myself accountable a lot.
Right, Taylor? Surprised to say she was groomed into a gangbang. I know. It's like and she just said she's held herself accountable a lot. She hasn't. Everything has been she was groomed into it, or she was forced into doing something, or blackmailed into doing something.
Like there's been a lot that I wish I could have done differently. I wish there were situations where I could have seen for myself better, that I deserved better, that I had power to walk away and leave. And so in some situations, like more so than others, like, you know, with the stuff.
I think mentally, if you feel weak in those moments, you're not going to have that strength to walk away. Like, I think that's something else to really think about. Cause it's like I said, you can always, when you're like stronger at a certain point in your life, it's very easy to look back and say, you shoulda, woulda, coulda, whatever.
Right.
But like in that moment, you didn't for a reason, whether like you felt scared for your life, whether you just were at a weak point. No matter, like I don't think there ever has to be a clear cut reason. Like your journey is your journey, your life is your life. I think the most important thing is having those experiences, learning from it whenever that happens. You know, it could take years. It could, you know, it seems to me that you, like you said, like the fact that you even sit here and you're like, yeah, I take accountability, whatever. But like to me, it's just like, who cares? It's part of your life. It's part of your journey. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that. I just say that because I don't think anybody needs to explain themselves. And it's like, it just is what it is. And it's just, obviously there's always things that like we can want to change. Yeah. But it's your story. Yeah. You know, and it's better than having a boring story sometimes. True that.
I'm worried I'm not even telling my story succinctly enough. I feel like I'm missing so many details.
No, well, something else I wanted to touch on too was, you know,
you've been all over the
you mentioned
place.
That I feel like growing up with everything that you had gone through, eating was like a form of coping for you.
Yeah.
And I know on our call you mentioned that you're kind of going through like a health journey right now, right? Or,
yeah.
Okay. So can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, back when I was like, 9 years old, I would sometimes eat so much to the point of throwing up because my body physically couldn't hold the food in anymore. Thankfully, I haven't been in that state in many, many years. But throughout some of my early 20s, I think I still dealt with binge eating. But through the years, I've done I did ED treatment. I got diagnosed with binge eating disorder in 2017, and then I went against doctor's advice and tried intermittent fasting, and it did end up causing me to overcorrect. And so I have battled with like bouts of like anorexia symptoms, and like to the point of like in 2019 when I was working a job, I literally passed out on the floor and threw up, and they had to call an ambulance because I just wasn't eating. And I was also struggling financially, so that was a fuel for that too. But I've dealt with that even in recent months, and it's especially like when the diabetes thing happened, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I started like just having eating behaviors, and I've become
Welcome back,
in a way
Maggie.
better at like restricting myself, because it's like I've gotten to a point with food that it's like now I very rarely ever want to binge, and when I do want to binge and I start to do it, I feel so physically awful and disgusting. It's like I can't.
Yeah.
And so now it's like my focus has been more on my like overall health and wellness, and like my mental health, and like getting the mentals in order because my brain has been the thing that's made it impossible to fully address this. Like I am not pro weight loss surgery at all. And the reason for that is I just believe that it's medical approved starvation. There's no adequate science to me that explains how amputating your stomach and eating that little calories is any different than being an anorexic. It makes no sense to me. It never will. And I think the long-term damages are not real.
Well, a lot of times they aren't amputating it. That's a poor way to phrase it. She's not even wearing a bra in this interview. Oh my God. Couldn't you at least put on a bra for this interview? Jesus Christ. Um, but a lot of times they'll do like a sleeve, which is also a way to make it reversible. Um, it's not about the calories, Lizzie, it's about the volume. When you've had a gastric bypass surgery, the volume is what is important. You can still get your calories in. Um, Maggie, you can speak on this better than I can because you've actually had gastric sleeve. There you go. Thank you, Maggie. Yeah, it's about the volume of food, but once that processes and makes its way out of your system, you can eat more food. Um, yeah, it's about the portions. So for Rosie to be like, I think it's starvation. No, you feel fuller quicker because your stomach can hold less. You're not starving yourself. So Rosie's take on that, I think, is horrible. I think her take on it is horrible. And she's essentially shaming people that have had the procedures. Down 130 pounds and still that's amazing, Maggie. That is incredible. You are doing amazing.
Well enough researched. Both my parents have had weight loss surgery, and my dad like over 20 years ago. And I see the issues that he's having with his bones now, and I'm sure if you asked him, he'd say that he doesn't regret the surgery, and
What's the correlation? What's the correlation between what'd you say? Issues, he's having issues with his bones. What does that have to do what does it have to do with his bone density? What does it have to do with an old people osteoporosis? Yeah, it's
loves it and all that. I haven't actually asked him yet. I don't frankly really want to have those conversations with people. Like just on my way here at the airport, some lady was giving me her spiel about losing 80 pounds on weight loss surgery, and you just have to go, thanks. Right. I would just like my plane ticket, please. And that's just kind of what you experience as a fat person. and especially as someone of, my fatness, right, and my level of fatness. And it's just like, I have been in this range that I'm currently at now. In fact, I'm lower now than I've been for most of my life since I was 18, 19, 20. I was over 500. My height was like 550, but I was averaging like 532 for many years, and now I'm down to, like, last I checked was 480. But I went to the mental hospital at the end of April, and I ended up having to go back for 9 days in the middle of August because of, like, the med regulation and everything. And now that I think I'm, like, actually not depressed for the first time, maybe ever.
Good.
And it's great, right? But what's been so weird is I've been in this, like, almost uncanny valley space of mind of, like, this is so unfamiliar that it's uncomfortable. It's good, but it's uncomfortable. And, like, I've been having to get used to it.
I mean, it's bound to happen.
And then also sitting in the fact of, like, I believe that I may have something like fibromyalgia, if not fibromyalgia. I started working with a rheumatologist a couple years ago, but
I believe I may have something like fibromyalgia. Here we are self-diagnosing ourselves again.
Because of the breakup, I had to stop. We eliminated a couple things, but I have a lot of nerve pain, and I've been dealing with a lot of chronic pain and chronic exhaustion. And I was just not prepared for when the depression.
Maybe it's because you're 500 pounds. Physical proof of all your hard work. Absolutely. You struggle with BED, it usually will hit at night, but if you eat adequate food, yeah. That makes it hard to deal with that, Maggie, I'm sure. Um, I'm sure that's still hard to struggle with. But hopefully you're able to not do that, and you have coping mechanisms in place to help you deal with that. So when you pop into the chat at 9 p.m. and say you want Taco Bell, we're going to tell you no.
Was addressed, how that didn't get better. And that also was kind of a damper on that for me. But it's amazing to feel like not so clinically depressed and anxious as I have,
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is, like what I said before, I feel like this next chapter of your life is your journey. Like, finding yourself, doing the things that you love, getting your mental health in check. Like, and it really seems like that's where you are for yourself right now. Yeah. And that is the most important. And I really do think starting with your mental health is key, because that's how everything else kind of falls into line. But yeah, I feel like your whole life has kind of been determined by everybody else or whoever is in your life. And in a way, even these sites that you were on, like I said, they influenced, they might have had some positives in the sense that it gave you these communities where in a way you felt like you could fit in, but it came with so much negative that I feel like now if you're finally in a place that you're just making your own decisions and you're only doing things that feed positivity in your life, like that is all your journey now. And like, I feel like where it truly begins.
Like, because if you want to talk about cults, the feederism community has some serious cult-like mentality.
Well, I feel like all of those kinks and stuff like that, they go a lot deeper than just being a kink a lot of times. You know what I mean? And it can get really, really dark fast. Because like you said, like I feel like there's levels of everything.
That's right. There's like the people that, because like I recently discovered the term food play, and that sounds fun. That sounds great. That's like the strawberries and whipped cream and chocolate sauce in the bedroom kind of stuff, or like maybe getting spicy with like a pizza slice or something, just like having the play of sensory. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I genuinely do believe that. But when you're getting into feederism, that's where like the umbrella opens, and it's like there's the weight gain kinks, there's the immobility kinks, there's the death feederism, right? There's things like vor, which are like 100% role play and technically don't really hurt anybody, but at the same time, what? Because for those that are playing at home that don't know what vor is, vor
as long as you can at least window shop for Taco Bell. Usually eat what I like, focus more on protein. Yeah, that's what I think I've heard people have been told that have had weight loss surgery, is to eat your protein first, and then you can have the other things, and carbs last, because a lot of breads and things will expand in your stomach. Rob says she has reasons for every ailment. Ironically, in her sea of reasons, being 500 pounds is never the reason. Absolutely. Clock that tea. If I do get the urge to eat something, that's good. That's good to hear, Maggie. And Taylor says, for sure, after losing a lot of weight when I was younger, I had horrible body dysmorphia. I was the lowest weight I'd ever been and thought I was still a big lass who needed to lose more. I'm sorry to hear that, Taylor.
vor is essentially the act of, it can kind of vary, the act of swallowing someone whole. So like
What?
the common frame of mind for that would be like someone my size, or like in a lot of it being role play, like a very very giant humanoid type sized person swallowing a man who's like very very small and frail, or like eating like things that are not food that are huge and massive to get even, and then like it's almost like that would equate to you getting instantly as big as those things. So like it's a complete fallacy. It's all that kind of kink is worked out only in role play. You can't, it can't exist outside of role play, you know.
Right.
And like giantess, which is, you know, again like the whole, you know, Amazon sized women. It can be for fat people, or even there are some people into giantess that just want like, you know, 10-20 foot tall women, which has I think a lot to do with like the power dynamic of the physical representation of the size differences and stuff, and like contrast and comparison and all those things like that. Where like, because that's a big thing in those communities, is like having someone my size sitting next to a dude who's like 5'2", like 100 pounds soaking wet, you know, things like that. And I mean, I think to this day my photo is still used as the picture definition of SSBBW on the BBW wiki, which is kind of funny.
What's SS?
Oh my god, seriously? Is there a BBW wiki? Oh my god! Oh, totally get that, Maggie. That is Rosie. Size differences between SSBBW, Rosie Jade, and a skinny woman. Maybe. She's still listed here. Activity retired. And this picture here. Cup size F. Jesus. Oh, there's a link to her Amazon wish list. There's a link to the Amazon wish list. What's the Rosie Jade Reddit? Oh, that was her old account, I guess. Wow, look at that.
So, which is, it's the same thing as that, but supersized. So it's like a weight class essentially. So anywhere between like 350 up to 600 is SSBBW. Anything above that is USSBBW, which is kind of like how the categories get categorized for the content that gets made.
Wow.
Because then like there's a lot of people in the spaces that like don't engage in feederism and are able to be successful, but there's a lot of money in kink.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times when you see those models making big bank, it's one of two things. They're either really good in their niche of a kink, or they're really popular somewhere else. Like that's when if you're making big money on OF nowadays, that's just kind of how it is. Like you either have your thing and you're really good at it and you've worked and built your clientele, or you are like an influencer and are hot, you know, and you're able to just kind of like build it that way. And so
Is that the category Rosie puts herself in?
when I launched my OnlyFans, it was at the recommendation of someone, of the person that I connected with, basically because part of how they were paying me was in exposure and shouting me out and stuff. Because like I did pretty good on my own, like converting sales on my own within the first couple of days, but you know they definitely gave me a boost on that. But the content was geared towards specifically like the feederism side of things, because like that's what makes the most money.
Right.
And it was just, I just realized as time was going on how unhappy it made me, how much I didn't actually want to do it. I felt almost like stupid if I didn't do it, because it was just like money.
Was Amberlynn listed? I didn't even see. Oh my God, she is. Peak weight 572.4. Oh my God. Body type apple. I don't know. I think Emberlin's more of a pear. It says active. I don't know if I would consider her active as a model. Um, Also, she's not on Twitter anymore. All this information is very out of date.
Money sitting on the table that I was ignoring, even though it definitely doesn't bring me joy. And like I want to write a book one day. I want to be like,
Oh God.
my dream life involves like traveling and being like, being paid to be myself. Like I don't know. You can call me Delulu, but I just feel like I have the capacity to do
Delulu.
that.
Yeah.
I just need the experience and ability to get in front of people and show them who I am and that I am authentic and like I show up as me. And I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot to say and a lot that I've experienced. And I do have multiple chronic disabilities.
You do have a lot to say, but yet you never really say anything. And I don't know about these chronic disabilities. Hello, welcome to me.
And some invisible, and most of them are invisible, and I have these limitations that I never want to fully hold me back. And I'm 31 now, so now is the time for me to kind of reclaim my life and get myself somewhere.
You just turned
a lot of people
34.
expect me to feel this pressure to be on some like major weight loss journey, and while I definitely don't want to stay as large as I currently am, I don't want to ever feel the pressure of like I have to lose this much weight by this amount of time. I have to be a certain size. Being a next fetus model, I actually have a lot of fear around losing weight. I have this very irrational fear that I'll get uglier as I lose weight. And that is something like I don't even know how to unpack that with a therapist because it's like no one can really relate to that unless they've been a model like at my size. And so I've got a couple friends that when I say that to, they're like, yeah, I get it.
I was gonna say too, I feel like it kind of boils down to a place of comfort. Like if you've been in a way, it's like if you've been the same way for so long, you're comfortable there. So it's like the fear of the unknown of like, I mean, I feel like that's normal.
Yeah. And more so than that too, if you really think about it, the only ever validation I've ever received for my physicality has been related to my fatness.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm so much more than that. I know that. But at the same time, that doesn't change my brain from being like,
this is all just a show.
Yeah, it doesn't change my brain's like initial fear response, like because I started losing weight and I didn't lose that much weight, and all of a sudden I was looking in the mirror and I was already experiencing like body dysmorphia of like, wow, I look so small. No, but what the fuck are you talking about? Your hips are still above 70 inches. Shut up. Like you're still fat as fuck. It's like I've never been one to like think of fat as an insult, at least in my adulthood, and I know that I'm beautiful, and I know that has so much more to do with my heart and soul than anything else.
Absolutely.
And it took me a really long time to get to that point.
Well, I was going to say too, I think coming on here, and you are a very open person. You're an open book. I think that you speak with a lot of confidence.
Thank you.
And I think all of those things are signs of somebody that is just overall a confident, happy, good person. And I feel like to me, that shows your heart and soul. Like
She speaks with a lot of confidence, but she's confidently wrong a lot of the time, unfortunately. So, I mean,
I don't think anybody's defined by their experiences or what they have or haven't done. And I think that obviously the bad experiences should have never happened, but they did. And I think that they build who you are, and you have that, they're there for a reason. And I think that you coming on here in so many different ways can reach people, you know, whether people,
that's my dream.
Yeah. But I think it does. And a lot of, whether it's somebody that is in a completely different kink, and might have experienced that, somebody that's experienced a stalker or, dealing with different coping mechanisms. Like it's so many different, I feel like, points that you hit on that someone can relate to, even if, and I always say that, even if your story isn't the same.
Or being an Exmo.
Yeah.
We're like a little club.
Right. And I just feel like coming on here takes a lot of strength and vulnerability, and you did that. And I feel like that's a lot to be proud of. And it proves that you're more than just, I think everybody's more than just what they have done,
Yeah.
what they are, what people view them as. It's like
Yeah.
all that stuff. And if that's only what people are going to see you as, then that's their loss. That's
Exactly.
Not,
Like, because I think for me, like my life's dream include like I really want to write and publish a book and like do a TED talk and like things like that. Like I want to be able to share my stories and use my life experience to help other people. And that's kind of what I've been doing. Like I've been vlogging on my Instagram stories for like 10 years now. First it used to be on Snapchat, and off and on. Like I did leave the internet for some time post the stalker stuff, because actually my ex was dealing with a really nasty custody battle, and one of his exes found out about what I was being targeted online for. So she decided to take that to his parents and add more lies to it, which there was already so much bullshit about me. Honestly, she didn't need to. She really didn't need to. They had more than enough ammunition. She's like, oh, let me just add this shit in here too. And so basically I was told like either we have to break up or you have to leave the internet, because it's like this is too much, and this could get brought up in court for like the safety of the child or whatever. And it was like a really gnarly battle of custody. He won.
Yeah, she's not a good person.
Yeah, so actually, like my first ever Instagram, I deleted at 10K, and
I believe he's back with that woman. He is back in a relationship with the mother of his child.
That was like when I went as Quirky, and then I recently, when I made the name change, it was like right before I deleted my OnlyFans, when I started like trying to figure out what my new rebranding was going to be. When I was leaving Feederism, I was like, I was thinking back to like who I once was, and I realized like at my heart and core, like the things that I was missing was just like.
She's quirky.
My intentions when I first created my Instagram just be goofy and silly and quirky,
just being you,
and just having fun and focusing on the things I really love and care about myself within my heart and soul, not just like portraying this image for men to double tap. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just so fucking vapid and not actually me or what I want.
and that comes with age too. It does.
I think so, yeah.
It's just like when the older you get, I think the more you realize the true meaning behind life and how important it is to do the things that make you happy, and not rely on any other validation, whatever it might be, honestly. But you did amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for giving me a platform. And I just want to say, I think what you do here is really fantastic. And I took a bit of a look into what you're doing online and everything. And I think you're really killing the game. And,
Thank you.
You seem like the kind of person that like stays in your lane and mind your business. And I really respect that.
Try to. Yeah. I don't have any time to go in any other lanes. I can't deal with it. Okay.
Yes.
I'm stay in my little chair and I just.
That's where, I've been there for the past couple months now. It's been fucking nice.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's just like, like I said earlier, like I'm not trying to shit talk nobody, but there are unfortunately some bad people in my story that are important to the plot.
Yeah.
But I'm just so thankful that they're in my past, and I only have good things looking out for me. Growth from here. Amen to that.
Yes. No, but you're incredible. And like I said, I can't stress enough. I think that all the experiences that you have gotten you here today.
Agreed.
So they definitely, there's some of them in there that definitely suck and should have never happened. But I think that the best thing that you can do is just be like, they happen, and keep pushing forward and become better from it. Because like you said, even the example you gave before, like you can either become a monster from something or you can kind of rise above. And yeah, everybody's got their weird things that can be weird. They might not be perfect.
Right.
But like, at least you're not a monster. And I feel like that, I always say people can go one of two directions. Wow. So I think it's incredible if you can use even the negative things to your benefit.
She has moments.
So, and that's what you're doing. And I think it's great. So amazing job. You're welcome.
All right. Well, that was something. She hasn't made any positive changes. She's still a shitty person. And I don't know how much of her story I believe. And I hate to say that, but I don't know how much of it I believe. So yeah. I need to get some dinner. And we're almost done with this plum blossom. But I need to get some dinner and finish up some things around the house. So I'm going to do that. But thank you all. She definitely put on a good face for the interview. She doesn't. Yeah, no. This interview was 2 years ago. But thank you all for hanging out with me for a little bit. I appreciate it. Just kind of, well, I was putting a few more comics away and now finishing up this Lego. But thank you all for spending a little bit of your day with me. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Yeah, I hope you have a good night. Thank you all so much. And I may not be back tomorrow. I may not be back for several days. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. And until next time, be safe and take care.